Hello, welcome back to another video and probably the biggest ALPHALETE review ever. This launch coming up for the birthday sale is huge. The birthday sale starts, just to give you the key dates straight away, like straight out the gate, it starts on the 22nd of February at 12 p.m. CST, 6 p.m. UK time. Whole website like 20 to 70+% off. There will also be a bucket of items, and this is going to have some Amplify pieces in it that will just be $10. I don't know what that's going to convert to in pounds, but they will just be a flat rate of $10. So it's going to be a huge sale, but there is also a new launch at the same time. The sale is going to go on for 72 hours, so 3 days. Everything that I show you in this video, all the new items, are launching at 20% off, and then you can use code AMY for an additional 10% off the sale price. Not the retail price, the sale price. So it's not 30% off, it works out about 27-28% off the items with code AMY. With that being said, it is my 6th birthday sale, I believe, with ALPHALETE, which is crazy, and it's also my 5-year anniversary this year, so I am going to be doing a much bigger giveaway this year. There will be some cash prizes, there will be some gym hampers, like an outfit, a supplement of your choice, some beauty bits, and I'm finalising the details still whilst I'm filming this, but I want to get this review filmed and up for you guys because it's going to be a big one, it's a big launch, so I will leave the finalised giveaway details down below. And those giveaways will be related to code usage, but as always when I do these giveaways, you will not have to have shopped the birthday sale to enter at least one of them, because I don't want you guys to feel like you have to go and buy this stuff if you don't really want it or anything like that. I will also be doing plenty of non-code use related giveaways here. I want to start with this review by doing one. Let me know which items you are most excited for in the comments, and I will be picking 2 of you to send a voucher to before the sale goes live. I will be doing some giveaways in the run-up over on my Instagram, so make sure that you are following me over there. I'll also be doing giveaways in my Discord. If you want the link for that, just message me on Instagram and I will send it over to you. I would not be doing my 6th birthday sale with ALPHALETE, which is so crazy to me, without your guys' support. So even the giveaways that I am going to be doing, it's still not enough in my opinion to say thank you. I don't think I can ever say thank you enough. I am solely sitting here still doing my reviews for ALPHALETE, still working with ALPHALETE, still going into another year with ALPHALETE because of you guys and because of your support. So genuinely, whether you're using my code this launch, you've used it before, or whenever it was, genuinely thank you so much, because every single code usage has got me in the spot that I am in with them, and it's the sole reason I am still with the team. So genuinely thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough. Everything is pretty much because of you guys, so genuinely thank you so much. It means the world to me. Fun stuff aside, let's just be a little bit more serious for a second. This is a huge fucking launch. This launch is huge. It's had so much hype. It's, even when I was going through and doing my picks, it's an overwhelming launch in terms of the amount of items. The last thing that I want any of you guys to feel is, first of all, FOMO because of how much hype it's getting. You guys know I don't like to overhype things. Even when I really like something, I try to be like as based as possible with it, because I don't want to ever make anyone feel like they absolutely need to buy anything. You do not need to buy any of this stuff. This launch is huge. Do not feel pressured to shop. Do not feel like if you want to enter people's code use giveaways, you need to be shopping, because I'm telling you, like, there is a high likelihood that you won't win that giveaway. And I'm not saying that to discourage people from entering. Like, I would love people to enter my giveaway, but I don't want people to enter my giveaway by buying things that they don't need and they don't want and that they weren't going to buy just to enter the giveaway. That giveaway is always going to be there, as are my normal monthly ones, for people who were just using my code anyway. They were going to buy something anyway. It's a way for me to give back to people. It is in no way me trying to encourage people to go and buy something just to enter the giveaway. That is not the purpose of those giveaways. This is a huge fucking launch. The amount of stuff I'm about to show you is insane, like insane. This is the biggest ALPHALETE launch in a very long time. It's not normal to have this much stuff. The only reason why I've got this much stuff is to be able to show you guys the items, to give you a review, to, even if I don't like something, you guys might love the things that I don't like about it, so you can find a product that is going to work best for you. And that's what I want you to take away from this video, like 1 or 2 items. Hell, if you want to spend loads of money and you've got the means to go for it, but 1 or 2 items that you might really want and that you might have your eye on. Or this video could completely de-influence you from buying anything that you had your eye on, because there might be things I point out that you weren't aware of that put you off the item, and that's also completely fine. Please do not feel like you need to buy any of this stuff. With it being a sale as well, well, I feel like there's that added like sale, like things are going to sell out, like pressure to buy from that side of things as well. So I just want to say, as Garth has always said to me, just because something is $10, for example, if you were not going to buy that item when it was $50, $40, $30, depending how many times it's gone on sale, if you were not going to buy that item and you're only buying it now because it's $10, you haven't saved $40, you've just spent $10 because you were never going to buy that item in the first place. The amount of times I've bought shit from a sale because I thought, oh my god, that's such a good deal. It might be a good deal, but do we need it? Are we going to wear it? Are we going to use it? Take a look in your wardrobe. What do you use the most? And if you do use those items the most, do you need more of them? Because just because you use something a lot, it doesn't mean you need more of it. Are there gaps in your wardrobe? This could be a good time for you to fill those gaps in things that you need. You might need some long sleeves for the gym. It might be colder where you are. You might need some shorts for the gym for summer because summer's coming up. In that case, it's a good time to stock up on some shorts. But I guarantee for a lot of you, if you are similar to me, close in age, there will be things sitting in your cupboard, sitting in your drawers, sitting in your wardrobes that you bought during a sale that still have tags on, that still have the wrapping on, that you were meant to return and you never returned. So just be mindful with your spending. And I don't want to come across as preachy. You guys are smart, you're clever, you know what you're doing with your money, but please don't feel like you have to go out and buy something just because it's on sale. Because like I said, even if it's 80% off, you've not saved that 80% off if you were never going to buy it in the first place. So yes, a good time to pick up things you've had your eye on, that fill a gap in your wardrobe, to pick up things that you've really been fiending for. Not a good time to buy shit just because it's cheap and just because it's on sale. Anyway, that's my sale and consumption disclaimer over, but I just never want anyone to watch these videos. I'm very conscious with this launch because it's so big and because it's getting so much hype. Like every day, ALPHALETE are reposting someone's story saying it's the best launch ever, like you need this stuff, all this sort of stuff. And I like the hype, I like that people are excited for this launch again, but please don't feel like you absolutely need to buy any of this stuff. Like you are going to be fine without it. I promise you that. You don't need any of this. If you want it, fine, but you don't need any of it. And I do not want to normalise by showing you this much stuff, having this much stuff, because I have 38 items in this box. This is not normal. And if I was buying, there would be a couple pieces that I would pick up, but I would not pick up all of this, first of all, because I don't like it. I would also not pick up 38 items because that would be so expensive. So with that being said, I would also like to say a huge thank you to ALPHALETE for sending me this stuff, for sending their athletes stuff before launch, because it does add up, and especially with how many athletes and affiliates they have now, this amount of product does add up. So thank you to ALPHALETE for sending me the pieces so that I've hopefully got enough to show you guys. Next thing just to go over very quickly is resources, colour comparisons, measurement pictures, footnotes. I'm going to put them in a PDF, so like a little mini review of each item. My ALPHALETE guide, which has a mini review of every single item on the website. My Amplify guide, which is a basically there's so many different types of Amplify on the website now. It's a guide to what the differences are, to the fit, to the fabric, to the sizing, for advice for each colour, between ranges, what the differences are. They are all in a Google Drive, and I'm going to leave them linked down below. The Amplify one and the ALPHALETE guide does need updating just to include items that dropped around Christmas time, so I will be updating that, and it will be updated before the birthday launch, but it might not be updated by the time this video goes up. But those will be updated, and everything will be in that Google Drive, so it's all in one space and you've got all the resources that you can need. I've also drawn up some tables just to show you guys like a very brief run over. I did this for Black Friday, a very brief run over of the differences between bottoms basically, so there is that. I've been thinking as well, I don't know if I'll have time, but with there being so much different seamless products on the website, I was actually going to do like an ultimate guide to either ALPHALETE bottoms full stop or the seamless in particular, because there's so many different rises, there's so many different drops where they change things, they tweak things. So if you guys would like a like stop shop video on ALPHALETE seamless items, what the differences are between drops, between colours, which colours have this rise, which colours have that rise, what the differences are, the scrunchies, the side panels, let me know and I will get that video filmed for you guys if I have the time. But let me know if that would be something that would interest you. I was going to do it in this video and then I saw the size of the drop and I was like, I'm not going to do it in this video because this video is already going to be very long, but I would love to do that video because I think it's very confusing and the ALPHALETE website doesn't make it easy at all. It just says updated fit. Updated from what? How have we updated it? There's no information. Let me know if you guys would want that video, but I will leave the Google Drive linked below. So yeah, the colour comparisons and stuff I will put in this video, but if you want them full size, you want the measurements of everything full size, it's all in the Google Drive. It's very easy to navigate as well. The measurements are sorted by product, so you've got the balance jacket, that's got all the measurements and comparisons to other products. The basics tops, they're all in one folder with a note on fabric and comparisons to other fabrics. So yeah, that's more like short form, like super easy to navigate content. Before I get into the review, my measurements really quick, which I will pop on the screen here so that you guys have my measurements. I will also put like what my fit preference is so you guys can see. You might want to take my measurements with a pinch of salt and my sizing advice with a pinch of salt if I prefer a more comfortable level compression and you're someone who likes high compression. You might take different sizing advice than I would. So I'm going to pop all of that here. I'm going to pop on the screen everything that is launching, and the link to this will also be below. There will be a link for men's and a link for women's. They've changed the way that they do it and I think it's much more user friendly now. It's more on the website than a PDF, so you can see every single product that's going to be dropping and every single colour that it is coming in, which I will pop on the screen as I go through the products. But with there being so many products, you might not be able to remember that, so I would say that's the easiest way for you to see everything that's launching and what is coming in what colours. Like I said, the sale starts on the 22nd of February, 12 PM CST, 6 PM UK time, goes on for 72 hours, so it's ending on the 25th of February. The only thing I do want to note is they are asking for extra time for fulfillment. They are going to work really hard because this was a mess for Black Friday, and that's also why I didn't end up doing the Christmas drop video, because it just felt so many people were really pissed off, so many people were mad, so many people were upset, and rightfully so. I would be too. I would be so pissed if I'd ordered a product and it hadn't come. So this time they have been on their fulfillment centres arses, as Christian put it in one of his recent videos. So they are hoping for a smoother experience, but please know it won't be like it's going to come in a few days for definite. I think it's a 12 to 25 day window that they are asking for your orders to be shipped, sent out, fulfilled, arrived to your door. And on that note, I would also just like to say I am so sorry for anyone who had a shit experience with Black Friday. I have nothing to do obviously with the back end of a company, nothing to do with the back end of a brand, but I understand, and I've seen ALPHALETE make mistakes over time, and it's always seems to fall on a sale period. I think it was very unfortunate timing, but I do understand that even though that's technically nothing to do with me in terms of what I have control over, I am a face for the brand. I am encouraging you guys to go and buy XYZ. I'm influencing you to go and buy a product, and so when you're not having a good experience or you're not receiving that product, that really is not on. That's not okay. It's really annoying, really irritating, and I do want to apologise to anyone who had a bad experience with Black Friday. I am keeping everything crossed that it is not the same for the birthday sale, because it cannot happen again. Like, that was unacceptable. The comments were on fire, my DMs were on fire. Yeah, do be prepared for longer fulfillment times, but hopefully they are going to be much more on it than they were on Black Friday. I'm hoping this one's going to be a little bit more positive, because there are some pieces that I really love. There are also some pieces that I was so excited for that, I will be honest, I prefer other products that I already have. I think some of these items need a little bit of a tweak. Some of them are really fucking good, like really good. And in general, I would say this drop is definitely gonna have a little bit of something for everyone. I would say, however, it's definitely more girly leaning. The colour palette is typically a bit more girly leaning, and the products dropping are typically a little bit more girly leaning, which I am not a super like hyper girly girl. I do like the odd girly thing, but I'm not a super hyper girly girl. I do wish there was a bit more of like in my opinion, ALPHALETE's true roots in the drop, which there definitely are some pieces, but a bit more of their true roots. But I think it will really appeal to, honestly, like kind of a new audience with how girly some of these pieces are. But if you are much more similar to me in terms of preference, there are still pieces for us. I would just say it's a much more like hyper feminine leaning launch. The way I'm going to structure this review, just because it is a mammoth task, is we're going to go through colours first. So I will show you all the colours that are launching that I have. I don't have absolutely everything, but I did try to get one of every colour. I think the only colour I don't have in anything is the Chelsea green colour, and that's just because I couldn't fit it in my order. And it was also coming in the Tenacity core pieces, which I love, but I didn't need more of them. I've already got like my core staple colours for those, so that's why I didn't pick that up. But other than that, I have pretty much something in every colour to show you guys. So I'm going to go through colours, and then we are going to go range by range through these items. So we will do Seamless all together, we will do Aura all together, Tenacity all together, the new Basics line all together. And if you were wondering why I'm sat down for this video and not stood up with my rail, all the stuff would not fit on the rail. Second of all, there is way too much stuff. I cannot stand for what will probably be like, let's be honest, probably about 4.5 hours of yapping. Okay, so there is definitely a little bit of something. We've got some pinks, we've got quite a lot of pinks, purples, we've got greens, we've got reds, we've got quite a lot of blues as well. And with this drop, they're actually bringing back some OG colours. However, they're definitely not all exactly the same, so I will point those out as I go through. But with it being their 10th birthday sale, some of these products are like a bring back of old products, but like with tweaks, with updates. Anyway, I don't want to spoil it. I'll get into that when I go through the products, but yeah, there are some colours that have been brought back, but they are slightly kind of different. So I'm going to go through them by range, just so that you can see the sort of colours which are coming in which range. Some of these colours are coming across multiple, but again, when I go through the products, you will see everything. And if you want to see everything that's launching, please check the links below. It will be much easier to follow than this, if I'm being completely honest, in terms of everything that's launching, because there's just so much. So the Tenacity range has a few colours coming. Obviously you've got like blacks and all that sort of stuff. So the first colour that I have to show you from the Tenacity range is Carmina, which is this sort of like jewel toned red. Now there is another red in this drop, which is a bring back of Formula Red, and they look very close, but as you can see, this is just a bit more jewel toned, and honestly this is, in my opinion, a bit more wearable than Formula Red. For me, Formula Red is like fire truck red. If you love that red, you're gonna love the fact that they've brought it back. But Carmina is slightly a little bit more jewel toned. I feel like it has more of a bluish undertone to it, whereas Formula Red is definitely an orange, true red, bright undertone. Carmina, a little bit more toned down, and obviously it's in the Tenacity fabric, so there's no room for any marl in this. It's completely solid, and it pairs really nicely with any of the sort of earthy tones or any of the previous reds that ALPHALETE have done. But yeah, this is more of like a jewelly red in the drop. You've then got Dress Blue. This is a bring back of Dress Blue, which if you remember, if you're a real OG, I never had them, but the Dress Blue revival leggings were one of like the prettiest colours. I remember I always used to see them on Caroline and think that is such a nice colour. Turquoise sort of shade. It does have a certain brightness to it, but if you were wondering in terms of colours that it's sort of closest to, it pairs really nicely with colours like Pier Blue, Ocean. It's darker than Rainfall for sure, but it goes really nicely with that as well. So those sort of typical turquoisey blues that ALPHALETE have done, it's closer to that. And obviously with Dress Blue, it was mild in the revival leggings. This is more solid. I would say this has definitely pulled sort of an in-between of those two miles that are in that colour. It's definitely an in-betweeny sort of shade. But yeah, this is Dress Blue. I do really like this colour, and I think it goes really well if you have a tan and a darker hair. I just think it looks really, really, really nice. So this is the Dress Blue shade. You have Ride, which is not new. This was in Tenacity before. It's in Tenacity again. The KDM zip came in Ride. The Amplify leggings have dropped in Ride before. It's just a basically like mid-tone grey. It's not super light, it's not super dark. It definitely has like a bluish sort of undertone to it, but it's definitely a true grey colour. It's straight down the middle. It's Tenacity, so it's not mild. It's a solid colour. Didn't do updated colour comparisons for this because I checked and it is the exact same as Tenacity, so I will pop my original ones in here so that you guys can see. But Ride is coming back in some Tenacity pieces. I have Purple Rain, which is actually an older ALPHALETE colour. They had like a cropped long sleeve in this before, and it's basically this bubblegummy orchid sort of shade. It's a really, 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 really beautiful bubblegum pink orchid sort of colour. It's very grey outside, so it's making it look a little bit more dull than it actually is, but in the colour comparisons and in the try on clips that I will show you, it's very, very, very much true to colour. Looking for a bubblegummy orchid purple colour, you will absolutely love this. It's a really, 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 really pretty pinky purple shade. And then Cashmere is coming in Tenacity. This is nothing like Cashmere Contour and nothing like Cashmere Aura. I understand that when it's a different fabric, the dye will take differently. I understand that, I get it. I understand that those things happen and you can't always make it completely identical, but this is very different to the original Contour Cashmere and Aura Cashmere. This is much more warm toned. It almost has like a purpley sort of undertone. In my opinion, it's sort of like chocolate and sangria had a baby. It's very close to the Brawl colour if you had the Brawl baby tea, very close to that sort of colour. So it's a very warm brown. It's very rich. It looks really, really nice, especially with a tan. I hate to keep saying that, but it looks really nice if you've got a nice tan. So yeah, Cashmere is back, but it is different. Again, like I said, I understand that with fabric it does change how the dye looks, but I do think that this could have been made a bit closer. If I'm going to be honest, I actually think this is a much nicer, richer colour. It's much nicer to look at. And the originals, which are a bit more cool toned, a bit more dull, so I'm not too mad at it. Okay, moving on to Aura, I have the root colour to show you guys, which is literally like if you got a jar of cinnamon, that is what this colour is. And again, with everything Aura, it's a cut and sew fabric. There's no marl to it. They are all completely solid colours. This is a very warm cinnamon colour, basically. I'm not gonna lie, it's not my favourite colour in the world. Out of all the colours, it's definitely closest to Butterscotch, which was done a couple years ago in Amplify. It's not my favourite colour in the world. I just find it a little bit too, I don't know, there's something about it that I just think looks off on me, and I usually love like a coppery tone on me, but between this and Sting, for example, I find Sting a lot more flattering on my skin tone. Please comment below if you can like put my thoughts into words, because I can't quite, but if you like a warm cinnamon sort of shade, you will love this colour. I think I just prefer something that's got a little bit more red in it. This is definitely very close to Butterscotch, and if you love that colour, you will love this colour. I also didn't really like Butterscotch or reach for it that much, so that's probably why, but if you love that, Aura has Root, which is very similar. Aura also has the prettiest baby pink, which is called Tea Rose. There are a couple pinks in this drop, like I mentioned. On camera, this can pick up a bit more white. I would say it's actually picking up quite accurate on this camera right now, but I will also show you it next to white so you can see it's not white, but it's a very, 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 very light baby pink. Think like a ballet pink, baby pink, very light, very cute. This is definitely a very, 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 very girly colour, and I really like this colour. I probably wouldn't want it in bottoms because they would be completely see-through on me, but I like it in the bra, and I'm pretty sure they didn't decide to go ahead with this colour in bottoms. I'm pretty sure they used Poise for the bottoms. So yeah, Tea Rose is a very, 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 very light off-white baby pink shade. And yeah, it's really cute. If you're really girly and you're into those sort of shades, you will love it. Following on from that, we have Lace. Now my colour comparisons are actually from the December drop, which I did pop on my Instagram, because this dropped in Seamless and in Tenacity, and now we have it in Aura. It's basically an off-white creamy shade. Like if I put it next to here, you can see that it's cream, but on its own it almost looks white, but no, it's an off-white creamy shade. This is one of my favourite new shades that ALPHALETE have done. I think it's a beautiful colour. I want them to keep using it. I want them to make more pieces in this colour, because this is straight up goes with all my favourite colours from ALPHALETE. It goes with Sand, Mocha, Chai, Linen, Grand Central, all my neutral shades. If you are a neutral lover, it goes so well with that, but it also goes well with colours. It goes well with the brights, it pairs with everything. If there is one sort of colour that you're going to get, for example, the jacket in, I'd probably say lace or black, because it's going to go with everything. Anchor, which is this very rich dark blue, is coming in Aura and also in the Basics range as well. So it's a very dark, rich sort of princess navy blue. Like when I posted a picture in this and showed people, they said that I looked like a princess in it. They said it was giving like royal, rich, like very luxurious sort of vibe. So that is what Anchor is. It's a very rich tone dark blue. It's basically Aura ink if it was a bit richer and a bit darker. It's definitely got a bit more saturation to it than ink did, which was a bit more of a dull-ish blue. This one definitely has a bit more brightness to it, a bit more of a, while still being very wearable. It's definitely one of the most, probably the most wearable blue in the drop. So if you like a neutral blue, I think you will love the colour Anchor. It's very luxurious and sophisticated looking. Following on, we have another blue. This is Dusty Blue, which is this very pretty dusty blue colour basically. Darker than colours like French blue, still water, all that sort of stuff, and it's definitely darker than the steel colour, which I will go on to in a second because I'm going to do seamless next, but just to show you, it is darker than the steel colour. The steel colour is much lighter and almost has a bit more purple in it while still being blue. It is a really nice neutral dusty blue colour. It's very aptly named, that's the best way I can describe it. Dusty blue, and it looks really pretty with colours like lace. It just looks really pretty. I think these two complement each other beautifully. We then have Grove, which I've left to last because this is also coming in seamless, and I do have both of them. Poise is coming in Aura and seamless. There's a couple colours that are coming across ranges. In my experience, the seamless to Aura connection is actually quite good. And I don't find that there's a huge difference between my Groves, for example. These are both Grove. The only difference is I would say the Aura is slightly less bright, but they're still both a very dual toned green. I'm going to talk about these simultaneously because they're very close, just slightly different. It's not one of those things where it's a completely different shade. They go really well together, and from a distance you can't really tell that there is a difference. Yeah, this is Grove. This is a very dual toned green. It is much prettier in my experience, and I'll pop the colour comparison here. Emerald green was like such a fuck off green, like it's green, and there was something about emerald green, whilst I liked it, there was something about it, and I remember saying in my video, it was almost a bit too green. It was very in your face. This, I have now realised, is what I wanted emerald green to be. This is that beautiful like dual toned green, that green that was, you know, that green that was everywhere. This is that shade of green. It's dual toned, it's like a really pretty bottle green. I love emerald and I do still wear it, but I can't see myself wearing it that often now that I have it in contour shorts, which are better than Amplify shorts, and I have it in the Aura strappy bra. Like, why would I not wear this? So now we can move on to the seamless colour palette. So I'm going to start with the red. So this is Formula Red. It has been brought back. Now when I got this, it was pretty much a one-to-one match with my Amplify Formula Red, which you can tell in the colour comparison it looks slightly different. That's because I've washed these now, and I did find that the dye did bleed a little bit in the wash. My Formula Red dye bled in the wash, but clearly this must bleed more because the colour of my Formula Red doesn't look to have changed, whereas this does. So if you're wanting a more like accurate out of the bag picture of what Formula Red looks like, look at the original, but this is what it's likely to look like after a wash. I've only washed it once, but the dye definitely does bleed, so do also be mindful with the brights in this drop. Don't hang them near lights when they're drying. The dye bleeds out into them. It's happened with other pieces before. Do not risk putting these with lights. I know that some people think it's a myth having to separate things. I promise you, if you put these brights in, Grove, this colour, the blue, if you put these in with lights, they will bleed into your colours and they will ruin them. So please wash them separately. And when you are hanging things to dry, not over light carpets, because if the dye does drip when it's wet, it's going to be stuck in your carpet. And don't hang them near lighter colours because it will bleed into them. It's happened with a lot of my pieces, so just be mindful. Yeah, Formula Red is a F-off red. It's a fire truck red. It's bright, it's out there. I wore this in the gym and it felt so not me. It's not a very me colour, but for people that love red, this is just a straight up red. There's nothing else to it, it's just red. It's definitely more orangey undertoned than blue. It's a true bright red shade. So then to move on to two other colours that have been brought back, we have Oceania. I have this in the Flare Pan. I'm going to be real, and I did ask about this and I was told it's the updated Oceania colour. Do not buy this thinking it's anything like the original. The original is mild, the original is more cool tone, the original is more muted. The original looks nothing like this one. They are not the same colour, so don't buy this one thinking it's going to look like the original, because it doesn't. Honestly, if they wanted to, I understand that it's the updated version, but I hope that they put that on the website because it's nothing like the original. Curious on which blue this is closest to. It's much closer to Victory Blue. It's a tad lighter and like a smidge brighter, but like from a distance this looks straight up like Victory Blue. I thought when I was unbagging it that I'd thought it was Oceania, but it wasn't. It's actually called Victory Blue. That's how close it is. So if you liked Victory Blue, you will love Oceania, but it's nothing like the original colour. Just a quick heads up, it's not. And I do think it's a bit confusing. I think they should have called it something different in my opinion. We then have Palace, which if you remember, Palace came in revivals. Palace came in the bikers, the seamless bikers that they did with no back seam on them before they did Amplify. Palace came in Alpha Lux. It's a very like bright, rich blue. However, the new Palace is a little bit different. It's definitely a bit darker than the seamless Palace for sure. And when it comes to the Alpha Lux Palace, this is definitely not quite as electric and in your face. In terms of which blue this is closest to, it's very close to Rain, which was a blue in the December drop that they did for the 12 days of Christmas. So just be aware that is the colour that Palace is closest to. If you are expecting it to be like true to colour for the original, it is a little bit different, but I would say this isn't as far off as Oceania, for example, especially when you put it next to the Alpha Lux. It is kind of somewhat close and reminiscent, but yeah, it's this beautiful, like if I show you it next to Oceania, you can see this one's lighter, it's brighter, and it's very close to Rain from the December drop if you like that colour. Again, this is a very, 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 very solid colour. None of these colours have much of a marling at all. Moving on, you have Steel, which is this like periwinkle, lighter, dusty blue sort of shade. It's very close to French Blue, just without any marl. I think if you took the lighter part of French Blue and just made it a solid, that is what Steel is. It's definitely not like the darker part of the marl, but it's closer to French Blue than it is Still Water. Put it next to a super blue colour, it tends to look a little bit grey, but if you put it next to a grey, you can see that it's quite clearly blue. Steel is a very apt name because I feel like steel can be bluey sort of grey, so I feel like it's a very apt name, but it's a solid, there's really not much marl to it at all, and it's a very, 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 very pretty colour. Goes with a lot of things. Definitely probably the most pairable blue of the seamless item. I think people that loved French Blue are gonna love this, unless you loved French Blue for the marl, in which case you might not love this so much. So we have Purple Noir first. So this is again a bring back of an original colour that ALPHALETE had. I don't have it, but I was looking on Google just before I sat down to film this video because I knew I remembered the name. I was like, let me just check. It's not like the original. The original, from what I can see online, was a very dark purple. This is a true like purple. There's no marl to it or anything like that. It's just a solid, jewelly, bright purple. It's definitely not muted. It's definitely, when I was doing my colour comparisons, probably one of the more unique purples that they've done in recent times, because usually with ALPHALETE with a purple, they go really quite muted. The only bright purple they've done in recent times really is electric purple, and that's nothing like this because it's considerably darker. This is very much like a Barney purple sort of shade. We then have Poise, which is this beautiful bubblegummy orchid pink. This is pretty much identical to Bloom, so this would have been a good opportunity to bring back an old colour and call it Bloom because it's pretty much identical. There is really no difference. As soon as I took it out of the bag, I was like, that looks like Bloom. It would have been cool to have called this Bloom because it's basically the exact same. It's a beautiful purpley pink pastel-y sort of shade, and if you like colour but you're not into brights and things like cotton candy were a bit too bright for you, I think you will much prefer this. It's just a really, really, really beautiful colour. So yeah, this is Poise. And now that I've shown you all of the like pinky purpley shades, just to show you them all together, they all pair really nicely with one another. Tea Rose, Purple Noir, Poise and Purple Rain. I like all of these colours together, so the pinks definitely pair really, really, really beautifully together. And then finally we have Black Garnet, which is a basically dark purple. It's very close to Dove. If you like Dove, this is just a bit darker and a little bit richer. Dove was just a little bit more dull. This is a bit more rich in colour. There's no marl to this, but yeah, if you like Dove, you will probably really like this, or if you can't find Dove, this would be a good alternative. It's not the exact same, but it's close enough in my opinion. It's just a bit darker and a bit richer and slightly less muted, but it's definitely still one of the most neutral colours in this drop. In terms of favourite colours, for once I'm actually really liking the pinks. I love Poise, I love Purple Rain, I love Tea Rose, I love Grove, I really like Steel. Of course I'm a neutrals girly, so I love lace and I love cashmere as well. Yeah, do check the link below so you can see exactly what is coming in which colours, because even all the aura pieces, for example, don't come in all the aura colours that I've just shown you, so please check below. And again, when I go through them item by item, I will put on screen what colours are coming in which item. But now that we've gone over that, I'm going to pop my lookbook in here. I do this with every drop just to show you guys standing on business when it comes to my, like, you don't need to buy everything. I just want to give you guys either some pairing items within this drop, because a lot of these colours pair really nicely together, especially the pinks and the greens, or like the lighter pinks with the lighter blues. Lace goes with everything. I would honestly say the only exception is Rue. It doesn't really go with much other than maybe cashmere and definitely lace. It doesn't go with much, but the other colours all pair and complement each other quite nicely. But you don't need to buy a whole new set. You can definitely pair these items with other items that you've already got in your wardrobe, and I basically do this to show you guys that, and so that if you guys are stuck between certain colours, you can maybe see which colours I would pair it more with, and then you can see which is going to fit better in your wardrobe of what you already have, because there's no point in going out and buying this, for example, and then realising you don't have anything that it goes with, and you'd have been better off going with Poise. Next up, we've got Anchor with Ink. Obviously blue on blue goes really well together. I feel like this really shows as well, it's just like a slightly richer version of Ink. I've then also paired it with Porcelain. I don't know what it is about like a rich blue with a dull pink, but I just really like it. And then with Dove, I always love purple and blue sort of tones together. Then moving on, we've got Dove with Black Garnet, just to show you how these look together. I think these look honestly almost like a matching set. I've then also put Black Garnet again with Porcelain. I love purpley tones with like a dull dusty pink. Then with Cashmere, just to show you it with a brown, but I honestly think it goes with chocolate, any of the like rich browns. Moving on, we've got Cashmere. I've put this with New Burgundy. Love it with a red tone because of how like rich this colour is. I've then also put it with Sand to show you it with a lighter brown, and I think this goes really nicely together. Moving on, I put it with Grand Central. Love it with a creamy tone. It looks really good with lace as well. Then you've got Rue, which again looks really good with creamy tones. So I've put it with Grand Central, and then I've also put it with lace. I feel like lace goes with every colour in this drop. So if you only wanted one top colour, I'd get the jacket in lace. And then Rue with Cashmere. Different tones, but I do like it. Formula Red with Cashmere if you wanted to try and tone it down. I didn't think this would go, but then I put it on and I actually do like it. And then with lace, I think this looks really good together just to tone it down. And then if you were a true brights girl, you can put it with oranges, greens. I've done it with Cheeky Coral here. Then moving on, we've got Grove here with lace, which again I just think looks really nice and tones it down a bit. I then also put it with the Old Bloom. I love greens and pinks together. If you've been here a while, you'll know how much I love that. And then I put it with Citrus Frost just to show it goes with other sort of green tones. You could go dull, bright. Then I've done Citrus Frost with Poise. I love greens and pinks together, and I think this looks really, really, really pretty. Poise with Bloom, just to show you that it is a pretty close match and looks really good together. And then Poise with Ice Blue. Love these tones. This drop goes really well with that Bloom, Cheeky Coral, Frozen Spring drop. Then Purple Noir with Citrus Frost. I think this looks really cute together. I've then done Purple Noir with Bloom, which I also really like together. And then I put it with Nebula, which I actually really like as well. Shock. The lookbook is meant to be outfits that I like. Then Steel with Lace again. Just showing you lace really does go with a lot of things. And then I put Steel with Ice Blue. It goes well with any of the blues. And then just to show you, it's not the exact same as Stillwater or French Blue, but this is it with Stillwater, and they do go really nicely together. Moving on, Dusty Blue with Stillwater. I think this looks really, really nice together. I love how this looks. Dusty Blue with Porcelain. Both got really dusty, like muted, dullish undertones to them, and I think it looks really nice together. And then again with Lace, this just goes with everything. If you take anything away from this, it's the new linen. Alice with ice blue, which I really like together, light blue and then a brighter blue, and then I put it with pink sands. I really like how this looks together. Big fan of this outfit. I then also decided to put it with the original Palace, and as you can see, it's not the exact same, but it pairs pretty nicely. And then I put dress blue with porcelain. I really like this sort of like turquoisey dull with porcelain. I then put it with a dark green. I don't know why, I just really like turquoisey colours with dark greens. And then to show you it with a similar colour, if you wanted to go for a matching set with Amplify, Titan goes really well, and that's got good stock. Blossom with tea rose, so you can see it's a lot lighter than Blossom, but goes really nicely together. Tea rose with digital violet, I really like these colours together. Tea rose with citrus frost, which I would say citrus frost is like the green of tea rose, if that makes sense. Then I have done purple rain with citrus frost, which I love. Purple rain with digital violet. Again, the pinks all go with very similar things. And then I put it with Gleece just to show you that it does also go with a much brighter tone pink. But yeah, I hope this was helpful. Enjoy. So without further ado, let's get into the review. We're going to do it range by range, item by item within that range, just to make it easier. I will timestamp everything below. I know this is going to be a long review. I apologise in advance, but I don't want to miss or skip over anything in this drop. So please feel free to skip along to where you need to be in the review. But yeah, I'm going to go range by range, item by item. So let's get into it because we've got a lot to discuss. Let's go over Aura first because I already know there's going to be so many questions about this goddamn jacket. There are a couple pieces dropping in the Aura range. We've got new tops, we've got the Lily tank, the Raya tank, we've got the strappy bra is back. Thank goodness for the fact that that has only dropped once, and this is its second drop, and it came out like a year and a half ago, is criminal, quite frankly, because I have that bra on non-stop. I'm not saying it's the most practical, but I am saying I wear that bra non-stop. We finally have a full zip jacket, which I will get to, and then bottoms wise, you've got a 5-inch inseam short, a legging, a capri, which I didn't pick up because I know I'm not going to like that. I know I'm not going to want to wear it, and I also don't think it's a piece that's going to resonate most with you guys. Whereas, for example, I have Tenacity cross-front leggings. I picked those up because you guys pester me non-stop, like the surface cross waist, and I've told them they really like a cross waist. I hate it on me, but I picked those up because I knew it would resonate with you guys because you've been asking for a cross-front waist again, and we have one in this drop. But when it comes to capris, I don't know, none of you guys have ever requested a capri through me, I don't think. So yeah, there's a 5-inch inseam short, there is a legging, and there is also a capri, and then we have a fold over pant as well. So the first thing that I'm going to go over when it comes to Aura is just the fabric really quickly. It's the same as the Aura fabric has always been, so let me just check the label to make sure that I don't get it wrong. 75 nylon, 25 spandex. It's the same across all pieces. If you're not familiar with Aura, it's ALPHALETE's lowest compression fabric that they do. It's very soft, it's very brushed, it's very pill prone. Your Aura items highly likely will pill at some point over time. A lot of my Aura leggings have pilled, especially between the thighs where they sort of rub together. They are definitely a low impact option in terms of fabric. It shows sweat. It's quite a thin fabric, but also because it's brushed, it is quite warm. If you think of a typical soft brushed fabric, think Lulu Align, all that sort of stuff. If you want like an in-depth fabric discussion on Aura, I will link my review for that below with a timestamp to it, because I did that years ago when Aura first dropped. But if I do that in this review will quite honestly be 5 hours long, so I can't do that. But yeah, this is their low compression fabric option if you were interested. It's thinner, it's more brushed, more pill prone, think low impact, think bit more of a yoga lifestyle sort of fabric, not very performance based. You can still train in it, but it's definitely not a performance fabric. There's no slickness to it. So the first item that I'm going to go over is the balance jacket. I'm going to go through the features first of all. This is ALPHALETE's first actually like proper fitted full zip jacket, which is crazy to me because we've been asking for one of these for a long time, but we finally have one. So starting at the top, they actually opted not to do the whole like zip all the way up turtleneck like a Lulu Define, for example. I'm not too mad at it because I never wear mine that way. With my Lulu Define, which I do have, you guys have seen me in it, I would just tuck it sort of in. It's more of like a lapel sort of collar, so it doesn't go all the way up, it stops about here. You then have a lockable zipper, which a lot of brands are using now. So basically what that means is you can pull it down, and if you leave the zipper stuck out like that, then it can move and you can push it down. But the minute that you go like this and press it down, if you try to then pull on that fabric, that zipper is locked in place. So a lot of brands are using those now, and I think especially for women, we are busty, and if you are trying to zip it over your bust or you want to wear it midway, it would be impossible to do that if you're busty without a lockable zipper. So I do love that they've fallen in line with other brands when it comes to that and put a lockable zipper on it. The bottom portion, so it's dipped in the front, it comes down into like a very like slight tapered V. You have two pockets either side which have these beautiful tonal, very subtle zippers. I do love how subtle these are. They're not big, they're not clunky, it's very dainty. You then have the sleeves which have thumb holes in, so there are thumb holes on this jacket. The branding on all the Aura pieces is this script signature logo here. It's just on the front left of the jacket at the bottom, but it's very subtle and they're all tonal, so honestly from a distance you can't see it. Other than that, there is literally no branding. And then at the back, it's just completely plain, no branding. It's straight across at the bottom, and then it just has this section here to, I guess, sort of taper a little bit more, and also this is double layered. In terms of the layering for this jacket, arms single layered, back single layered, front here double layered, bottom portion here, so can you see how it sort of cuts off here? This is thick, like it's double layered. So on this panel here, it's just double layered, but then where the pockets are, I think just because you've got the inside of the pockets there, it feels like it's honestly like quadruple layered. It's very thick on this inner portion. And then at the bottom, you have this thick, very thick, honestly, seam that runs all around the bottom. So that is the features of the jacket, and the purpose of this bottom section being a bit more heavy duty is it's meant to almost have like a corset effect sort of built in, and I think that's probably why it has this thicker seam at the bottom, to give you that corset effect. But I will be completely honest, I have other jackets that don't have that and they still do like a corseted sort of snatched BBL sort of effect. Lengthwise, this is a high hip jacket. This is not full length, especially if you are taller, you will probably notice it more. If you're shorter and the lookbook crop defined jacket is the perfect length for you, you will probably really like this. It's very close in length to that. There isn't too much of a difference between the two. So if the crop is too short for you, you probably won't like this. If the crop works perfectly for you, you will probably really like this. It's shorter than, for example, Honor Active soft motion jacket. Just to go over that really quickly, the Lululemon obviously has the air vent on the back. It's a very similar in length, but the Lululemon obviously has the hand pullovers on the thumb sleeves. It's also a little bit thinner than this. I know I said the Aura was a thin fabric, but because this is like double layered and quite thick throughout, I would say this is a thicker, warmer jacket than the Lulu Define. And in terms of comparing it to Honor's soft motion, again, this is much thicker, much warmer. That bottom portion, much thicker, much warmer, and soft motion is also a longer jacket. And again, both of those jackets that I've just mentioned zip all the way up to the top, but they don't have the sort of lapel style collar. So those are like the key differences. But in terms of fabric feel, very sort of close. Aura is just thicker and more brushed than soft motion. In terms of sizing for this jacket, I got a size small. I would recommend that you stay true to size in this jacket because it's quite tight, especially if you're busty. I would not recommend that you size down in this jacket. It's quite tight. The arms are quite tight, so if you store fat in that region, just be mindful of that as well. I would recommend for most people, you're going to want to stay true to size. If you're between sizes, I would size down, because if you go up and you're between, you're probably not going to get that snatching effect. And equally, if you don't want a snatching effect and you want something a bit of a looser fit, size up in this jacket. You can size it how you want, but if you want like a good snatched fit, you can stay true to size. And if you're between sizes, I would recommend that you size down. I went true to size. I got a size small, and I'm pretty happy with how this fits. My only gripes, and I have a couple, are first of all, the thumb holes are way too tight. I will pop in a picture here. I worked out in the black one the other day and it left like an indentation on my thumb. Like the thumb holes are so tight, and I usually find I have this problem when no one else does. Maybe I've just got fat ass thumbs, I don't know, but the thumb holes on this jacket are so goddamn tight, like so goddamn tight. The other thing is, obviously with it being that sort of cropped length, my lookbook jacket, I have the cropped version and I really like that length on me. It's not a problem. I do wish that they'd done 2 length options, because if you're on the taller side or any taller than me, this is probably going to be like a long crop jacket on you. So I do wish that we had 2 length options. It's quite clear that, you know, this was more like with shorter people in mind or someone that just wants more of a crop jacket. I do wish we had 2 options. With that being said, I do find that when I'm like moving around, I do have to keep pulling the jacket down a little bit, just from where it sort of sits. It doesn't stay in place quite as well. Just with movement, you will find that you do have to keep like pulling it down. It does ride up a little bit with movement. And then the other thing is, the thickness on the bottom of this jacket is, in my opinion, a little unnecessary and a little bit too much. I don't think it needed it. I have other jackets, like you guys have seen in my vlogs, I live, especially in my gym, it's called, I live in a full length zip up jacket or full length tops. I love them. I wear them all the time. So I do feel like I'm quite qualified to speak on this, because I do basically live in them for training and have been for a good few months. None of my like thinner ones without this sort of bulkiness at the bottom don't snatch me. They all actually fit me really well, and actually the soft motion jacket is more tapered than this one is in the same size. Without having all that like thickness to it, it's actually a bit more tapered. So even though this is designed to snatch you in, if this had have been just a thinner fabric on the bottom portion but more tapered, it would have had the exact same effect, because I have jackets that have that exact same effect. The issue with the bulkiness, and I'm just quite particular with my stuff, I like things to look nice, is it rarely sits flat, and if it does sit flat within a couple of steps or a couple of movements, it starts bunching up, it starts looking bulky, and it won't sit quite flat. I also find with that added bulkiness, it doesn't look quite as snatching side on as my other jackets do, because it has that bulkiness, it sticks out a little bit. It doesn't look quite as snatching as some of my other jackets that I have do. I'm just being completely honest, it doesn't. From the front, I think it looks good when it's adjusted, but again, like I said, you move around, it sort of digs in. I did notice as well when I was shooting, I was sat down in the coffee shop, because this bottom bit here is so bulky. When I was sat down, it was almost like it was digging in, because it basically would dig into my lower stomach portion. I did find it quite uncomfortable at points to sit in with that bulkiness at the bottom. Don't think it needed it. The seam is like really thick in a way that my other jackets that I have aren't, and those are still perfectly snatching. I feel like if this wasn't so thick, it would have sat a little bit better on me. That's just my opinion. I also do find with that added thickness, it makes it warmer, and I need a warm jacket. My gym is cold, but that added thickness around the midsection does make it warmer. This is definitely the warmest full zip jacket that I have, so do be aware of that. If you live in a hotter climate and you're buying this for training in, you might want something a little bit more lightweight. It's quite warm to train in. I actually did okay in my gym session and it didn't bother me too much because my gym is Baltic, but I know if I was in a hotter climate, this would be way too warm. It's like a thicker, because of all that extra layering and like the corseted sort of effect, it's very warm to train in. With that being said, it does show sweat, or a fabric does show sweat, and it does not dry fast in my experience. With it being more brushed, it just sort of sits in the fabric. In terms of the lace colour as well, even though it is double layered in the front, I do find that there is a little bit of sheerness. There is sheerness throughout the back, but the black colour that I have is completely fine and you can't see anything. But yeah, I do find I'm having to adjust the bottom of it quite a lot, and I can't quite get it to sit flat on me, to the point where I was like, do I like message and try an extra small? But that's just going to be so tight over my bust. I don't know if I would be able to get it on, because when I'm zipping this up, I feel like I really have to get it over my chest. It's very tight in that region. But I do think the tapering is really nice, and I love that we finally have a full zip jacket, because we've been asking for one for so long. I just don't think it needed the bulkiness on the bottom portion. It would have been a great jacket without it, and honestly for me probably actually a little bit better. I think it would have fit me a bit better. Yeah, I would say this is still something that I'm going to be using, and it's still something that I'm going to be training in, but I also have like the foresight to know that I didn't have to pay pay for this, and I do have other jackets that I do think fit me a bit better and they sit a little bit better. I have noticed how bulky this looks on other people as well. Whether they can feel it or not is a different thing, but I do think that this just doesn't look quite right on the bottom portion. If you guys think I'm being insane, please let me know. Maybe I am, but hopefully when I've put the pictures in you guys can see. It just sits a little bit funky on the bottom for me. But if you are interested in the jacket and what I've said has not put you off it in any way, shape or form, true to size, between sizes, or super narrow and you want a super snatched fit, then size down. But yeah, that is my thoughts on the Aura Balance jacket. Very happy we finally have one. I just would like this to be tweaked a little bit, and then I will never wear another jacket ever again. But I will still be wearing this. I just want to be aware of the fact that I obviously got this for free and I didn't pay for it. It's not going to replace all my other jackets. I will use all of them. I will still wear it, but yeah, I just wish it wasn't so bulky at the bottom. It's a little disappointing, and when I have pointed it out to people, now that I've pointed it out, people are struggling to unsee it. So let me know if you guys see it or if I'm just going batshit mental. So to take a little bit of a gear change, I want to go over an ALPHALETE product that I just love and I'm so excited is back, and that is the Aura Strappy Bra. Guys, they dropped this once and then left us in the dust. Not the most practical bra that ALPHALETE do, although do they do practical bras? I fear potentially not. When I said that there is something in this drop for everyone, I really do think there is. The only exception being people who need a high support bra, because none of these bras are going to be high support. And I really do wish ALPHALETE would work on having those offerings. But I think, because I just want to speak on this really quickly because I get asked about it a lot, I think the issue is every time ALPHALETE try to do a bra that is a bit more supportive or is a little bit more big bust friendly, the issue is ALPHALETE don't currently really have any athletes that are naturally big busted. So on someone that's smaller, for example, it might not fit right, so there might be complaints, it doesn't fit right, don't buy it. Or it might be too bulky for them or too thick for them because they want something that's teeny tiny like this, so don't buy it because it looks bad. When really, if they were able to get those bras on people that they're gonna fit better, that they are more made for, more intentionally made for, those would sell so much better because they rely really heavily on us to push product. They don't have people to push those products. So I think if they can get people on the team that are more naturally blessed, they will be able to, first of all, make better bras because they will be able to actually test those items on people. But also when it comes to the marketing side, when it's time to actually try and sell a product, they will have people that those products are made for to push them, rather than everyone with like a really small chest just complaining it's too bulky, it's too this, it's too that, I don't like how it looks. So yeah, that's the only exception. There really isn't much in this drop for people that are like naturally very well endowed. Having said that, the Aura Strappy, which is one of their like tiniest bras, is back. There are a couple differences which I'll go over in a second, but just to run you guys through the details, I'm gonna hold it upside down because you can see better. It curves under bust. It's very minimal. You've got like 3 inches of fabric in the middle. It's very small, about 7 inches from the top of the strap here to the bottom of the bra. You have darts. There is padding in this one. It comes with padding. I've taken it out, but it does come with padding, and there's slits. You can put your own in, but it comes with padding. And then at the back, it crosses over here, and then you have 2 adjustable straps that sit sort of halter and cross over at the back. And then the logo on all the Aura pieces, like I mentioned, is tonal script. So this is the Grove one. And then on the T-Rose, you have this. And I just think this is really, really pretty. So yeah, the Aura Strappy Bra, in terms of comparing to the original one, there's a couple differences. So the darts are slightly longer on the newer one. I did notice that. There's also an extra inch of adjustability on the strap that goes over, which I know that some people found them too tight. Mine are 18 inches this time. Last time they were 17 inches on the longest adjustment. So I actually got an extra inch on there. There are a couple adjustments to the back. So on the new one, the crossover section is actually not as wide. It's a bit more narrow. The box here where it crosses over is narrower on the new one compared to the old one, which I do find gives it a bit more of a tighter underbust feel because you've got less open space at the back between here. When this is a bit wider, it gives a bit more room under bust, which some people did find it was a little loose under bust. I don't think you're going to have that issue with this one. And then on the side here at the back, there is actually a little bit more fabric where it comes around the side. It's a little bit thicker, and I actually find this makes the bra just feel a little bit more better engineered, a little bit better manufactured. The strappy bra is my favourite bra from ALPHALETE, and I never noticed it felt like it didn't fit right, but having put these ones on, I do think the fit is now like perfect for me. I wouldn't change anything. So those are the differences between the old one and the new one. Other than that, no differences. The coverage is the same. I get the same coverage on my old ones compared to my new ones. And yeah, I will pop in some like measurements and stuff so that you guys can see how these compare to the old ones, and I will also pop in some measurements comparing size small to medium, and then I will go over sizing with you guys. So I picked this up in a small and a medium because last time I got small and medium and I wasn't sure which one I was. I found with the medium last time it gaped under bust and it wasn't tight enough. With this having that slightly narrower back now, even though I still do probably prefer the size small, I do find with the medium I can wear it much more comfortably now. I don't feel like it's going to ride up as much as the old one did. The old medium rides up on me because it's not tight enough under bust. The medium one fits really nicely under bust on me now in the new sort of updated version of it. So I find that when I'm moving my arms around, it doesn't budge up as much, so I'm not as scared of like my boobs ending up being out. So I do find the fit on this much better even in a medium. Love the small, love the medium, and I can actually wear both now. Medium does give me a bit more coverage. If you go a size up, you will get more coverage, but if you are naturally very blessed, do not be fooled. I don't think this bra will work for you. I think this bra is better smaller to moderate chests and then people that have implants, because implants just sit a little bit differently, and I can get this to sit underneath. I don't need a supportive band underneath to keep them strapped in. That's just sort of how my boobs sit. But if you are naturally very blessed, I can see that they would just completely slip out of the bottom of this. I have had some feedback from people that are like double D saying that they sized up and the strappy bra ended up working for them, so it could work, but I wouldn't go out there and say it would be the best bra option for you from ALPHALETE. In terms of which size I prefer, I like both. When I want a bit more coverage, I will go with the medium because you do get a bit more coverage in going a size up. Obviously I'll have put the measurements in, but just to show you, you do get a bit more coverage in going a size up. Like, it's wider. You also get more coverage in the center when you go a size up, more coverage at the side. You just overall get more coverage from the bottom of the bra to the strap. The only thing to be aware of with the tea rose color is I did find that you could see the padding through the bra, so do be aware of that. You might want to take it out and put it against your skin, because on me I could actually see the padding through the bra, because obviously it's double lined over bust, but between the padding and the bra it's single line, so you can see that padding poking through. In terms of trap discomfort, I don't get any. I didn't get any in the original, I don't get any in this one, and with that extra inch on the strap that I found on mine, I find these even more comfortable. If anything, for me, I actually tighten them a little bit. I don't wear them fully adjusted to the longest one now. I probably put it up about like half an inch when I'm in the gym. When you move your arms around, I don't find that this budges up as much as the old one did. I find that this one stays in place a lot better. It moves a tiny bit in the size small, but not by much. If you are stuck on sizing, I would say if in doubt, stick true to size. And if you are between sizes, I would probably say to go with a size up, especially if you have like a wider back or wider lats. Just with that bottom band now feeling a little bit snugger under bust. If you're between sizes, you might want to take a size up, but other than that, I would say to stay true to size. It's a low impact sports bra, only really for weightlifting or yoga, something like that. I wouldn't even probably say it's the best for Pilates, just with it being so small. You might want to like readjust, and I know there's a lot of like inversions and all that sort of stuff. Yoga and lifting it's going to be fine for, day to day fine for, and I find it really comfortable. It's so soft on the skin, it's so flattering, and every single time I wear this bra on Instagram stories, I get told how amazing it makes my chest look. It's my favourite bra from ALPHALETE. It lies perfectly under other pieces. You guys know don't really train in sports bras on their own anymore personally, so this one is perfect for me because it lies really nicely under tops. There's no bulkiness other than the adjustability on the strap, but other than that there's no bulkiness to it. It lies really nicely under things, and it's my top bra from ALPHALETE. I absolutely love it. In terms of sweat, it's the Aura fabric, so again it will show sweat. Yeah, I'm just very happy that they brought the Aura strappy bra back because it's my favorite bra and it's definitely one of my top picks in the launch. Okay, so then Aura has two new tops in the line, which is the Lily Tank and the Raya Tank. So I'm going to go over the Raya Tank first. This one was featured in the teaser reel and it got so much like excitement and hype. So this is what it looks like. This is a top, it's not a bra, there's no padding in it, it's double lined in the front, but there's no padding and there's also no inserts for padding. So if you wanted to put padding in, you'd have to cut your own. And I will say as well, you will probably struggle to find a bra to wear with this because the back is very open and very low, so do be aware it's going to be quite hard to find a bra to wear with this if you do want to wear a bra with it. But in terms of the details, it has a beautiful like open square neckline, tiny little cap sleeve. Like this is definitely the smallest cap sleeve I've ever seen from ALPHALETE. Like it's absolutely tiny. And then on the back it crosses over like this, and these crossover straps are not sewn together, they fully come apart. So you've got two like thick straps at the back, which are just like so. That's how it looks upside down, and it comes back quite like low in the back, scoops, crosses over, Aura fabric, double lined in the front, the straps are double lined. The only thing that's not is here. I will say with this top, I do find that like the seams at the top do feel a little clunky, a little bulky. I do find that they do look a little clunky as well. Is that just me nitpicking? Maybe. There is also like a little seam at the bottom, but as you guys can see, like there is no bra, no nothing built into this, no support built in. And then as with all the ALPHALETE pieces, cursive logo, bottom left, just like the jacket. In terms of length, this is like a crop. Basically, it hits above belly button on me. It's not a long crop, it's a true crop top. If you think crop top length, pretty much that's how long this top is. I got this in a size small, and I would say to stay true to size in this. A size small fits me pretty bang on. I wouldn't size down in it, I wouldn't size up in it. If you are between sizes, just with it being Aura and with it being that high stretch, like low compression fabric, I would say if you are between sizes, you would probably want to size down in this, especially if you are smaller in the chest. But everyone else, I would honestly say to stay true to size. In terms of like practicality for this, honestly, this isn't a very me piece. It's a very girly piece, and I love it for the girly girls, but it's not a very Amy piece, which is fine because not everything needs to be for me. We have a wide customer base. This is definitely more for your girly girls, Pilates, lifestyle. If you want to wear this as a lifestyle sort of top, or even for people that are lifting but they have that girly aesthetic. Definitely a much girlier piece. It's not very me. However, the really cool thing about this is, and it's not like designed this way, like this was kind of an accident and it came up in the design meeting, you can wear this back to front. I can wear it back to front anyway. I don't know if everyone would be able to, but you can wear this back to front. The only thing to be aware of is that obviously these straps that cross over aren't sewn together, so you do need to stay aware of that. But I, dare I say it, think I prefer this on me back to front. And if you were to wear it back to front, then the back, instead of being crossy, will be more solid. So you would actually be able to fit a bra under this much easier if you wore it back to front. Down the side at the seam, because it's obviously not made to be worn both ways, you can see that the seam curves forward and it looks like it's not sitting quite right when you wear it back to front, but no one's probably going to be paying attention to that, I'll be real. So if you are liking the look of this, you can get a 2-in-1 top. The neckline is obviously very wide, it's very booby, it's very low cut, so you will definitely have quite a cleavage moment. In terms of support, this is low support. This is not going to give you high support. There's no support built in, there's no underbust support built in, there's no padding, there's no like built-in bra. And with it being such like a low compression stretchy fabric, obviously these are much thicker at the back, so it's going to give you more support than if this were a super dainty strappy back, but it's still just a top. So Do be aware this isn't going to give you any support, but if you are a girly girl, you will probably love this piece. There's nothing wrong with it, honestly. I think this is a really nice piece. It just depends on whether this is for you or not. I love it, kind of love it the other way around. I kind of think, yeah. I mean, what does that say about me, that I want to wear it like the most whorish way? I'm not sure, but the other way around, I kind of prefer it. I don't know, I just think with cap sleeves, for me, there's something about it. I think because I've got quite broad shoulders, I just feel like a grown woman that's been put in like a child's top in the super tiny cap sleeves. I'm not sure it's always the most flattering on me. But yeah, if you do want to get padding, you can, I guess, cut into it to make your own inserts, or you could pop them against the skin. But I do wish that they had just put padding in this. I think it would have solved a lot of problems, and they've done it with the Lily tank, so I think this would have been good if they had given that same level of like built-in support and just a bit more coverage with offering the padding, because even though it's double lined, if you get cold, you will be able to see the outline of things, so do be aware of that. Girly girl, I think you're going to love it. Sizing wise, like I said, stay true to size if you are between sizes. I would probably say to size down unless you have a really big bust, in which case you might want to try a size up, but it's not too tight anywhere or anything like that. It fits me pretty bang on in a size small. The only thing I do notice is I get a little bit of like double boob at the top here, and in terms of the sleeves, they actually stay in place quite well despite them being such like a tiny little cap sleeve. Honestly, it stays in place pretty well. That is the Raya top. I feel like that was a very quick review of it, but there's not much else to say. I don't want to rag on something just because it's not my personal style, because I know from how excited people were DMing me being like, oh my god, what is this top? A lot of people are going to love this. It's just not really my aesthetic. What is slightly more my aesthetic is the Lily tank, which is, in my opinion, more like thought out from like a practicality point of view compared to the Raya tank. So I'm gonna hold it, no, I'll just hold it this way so you can see. It's a halter neck tank. So details wise on this, let me just, again, it's the same Aura fabric, so it's like this. So it's a long crop, it hits me above belly button, so yeah, it's basically just a long halter tank top. It's kind of like a bra, kind of like a top. It's like a hybrid between the two. It really reminds me of the neckline of like the Pulse balance bra. It really reminds me of that neckline, so if you like that neckline, you might like the neckline on this. And then you have a halter strap which comes around the neck. There's no adjustability on this. The strap is 16 inches total in length and there is no adjustability on it. You can't loosen it, you can't tighten it. Don't really like seeing a halter with no adjustability, full stop. I just don't think it's very user friendly, especially for gym girls. Like usually if you've been in the gym a while, you've usually got a little bit of trap going on, so I do wish that was adjustable. And then this is what it's like at the back, so it sort of curves under and it's much thinner at the back compared to the front. It curves up at the bottom, as you guys can see, and down at the top. And then in terms of the inside, it's very similar actually to the Tenacity bras. So you've got this thick underbust band here just to add a little bit more support and sort of stop you slipping through into the bottom of the tank if you do have a bigger bust. So that band does run all the way around through the back and the front, so it's kind of a built-in bra within it, and it does come with pads. And the pads in this drop, if you were curious, it's the kind of better ones that they've been using. ALPHALETE padding for a long time was shit. It was awful. It would like peel in the wash, which is basically unheard of for padding. Like, what even is that? One is much softer, much silkier, and I've heard from the girls who do keep the padding in that this washes a lot better. So the padding is improved. It's not the shitty padding that they used to use. And in terms of the visibility of the padding, I actually can't really see the padding in the lace colour on mine. It's pretty much fine, but typically I will always take the padding out. But if you were curious, in the try on clip I left the padding in, and that is what it looks like with the padding in. Details, and then again at the bottom it just has like a little bit of a thicker seam, and that is pretty much it. Branding wise, you've got the script logo on the side here. So yeah, that's the Lily tank. In terms of sizing for this, I would again say to stay true to size. There isn't too many sizing issues on the Aura tops in particular, other than the jacket, which I've already gone over. And if you are between sizes, I would say if you're smaller in the chest, you can probably size down. If you're bigger in the chest, you should probably size up, just because otherwise if you size down, you might get that like double bubble thing. But generally it fits very true to size. Support wise, obviously it's a halter and the back is very open, very flattering, very cute, but I would say this is a low to medium support bra. Even though it has that built-in support, it's still very much low to medium. The back is completely open and I don't find it offers me a crazy level of support. It makes the chest look really good. It's very flattering on the chest, very flattering neckline, very flattering on the back. And I do think as well, if you store body fat in particular in your back region, your midsection, that sort of region, or you have particularly wide lats and you are between sizes, again, you might want to try a size up in this, just because it is quite like, it's a nice fit, it's not uncomfortably tight around the back, but if my back was any wider, I might find it a bit uncomfortable. I get a tiny little bit of digging in. My issues with this come with the strap not being adjustable. It's so uncomfortable. It'll depend on how your traps are, but if you are sensitive to trap discomfort, I would pass on this. It's very, very tight on the traps and I can only really wear this comfortably for 20 minutes and then I'm getting like pinching and it really fucking hurts. It's just too tight, because I wouldn't want them to loosen it, because then for people who don't have that, it might sit too low, it might not sit right. I just wish it was adjustable, because I do like the idea of this. It's just so uncomfortable on my traps, so do maybe skip on this if you have bigger traps or you're very prone to discomfort in that area, because I have bigger traps, yes, but I also have very tight traps and I am aware of that, so it could be that playing a role too. But please be aware, this is tight on the traps, like very tight on the trap. The other thing is, it doesn't sit quite right here. I don't know what's going on with the fabric, but it happened when I was shooting and it's happening now, so I don't think it's just a fluke on the one that I've got. It like wrinkles. I think maybe because it's so tight around here because of the tension of my traps, and then when it goes around here it's not needing to be pulled up quite as much. It just creates like a wrinkle, and I've tried to get it to lie flat, but it just keeps going back to being wrinkly. So I wish that that wasn't there, because it looks quite off. I like the idea of this, but in like practicality it's not very practical, because it's very uncomfortable around the neck for me, and that wrinkling is just not, it's not the best thing, and it's not the best look, you know, it's not its finest hour. So I would tweak that as well, but I do like the fact it comes with padding and it has that like level of built-in support that the Raya top doesn't have. So if you need that, I would recommend this over the Raya top. But if you have like sensitive traps, I probably wouldn't recommend this, because it's not adjustable and it is tight. Like, it's a thick band. It has like a little bit of stretch, but not too much. Like, there's not too much give in it. And it might feel fine when you put it on, but give it 20 minutes, half an hour, shit is tight. So just be aware of that. But yeah, other than that, if you are still interested in this, stay true to size, between sizes, and smaller in the chest, smaller in the back. You might want to take a size down, between sizes and bigger in the chest, wider in the back, take a size up. But yeah, that is the Aura Lily Tang. Okay, I'm now going to go over the Aura leggings, because there has actually been some adjustments to these, so that's mainly what I'm going to run you through, because you might already be familiar with the Aura legging, but if you are not, a high rise option. It's a low impact legging. You have a waistband at the top here, which is double layered, and then you have these seams here which sort of curve here. You have a curved side seam detail which sort of curves around the glutes. It's really flattering on the glutes from the side. It's a high rise, like the rise on this is like 9.75 inches. Old was 9 inches, so these are actually higher than the previous ones. These are definitely like an ultra high rise legging. They're high on me, so do be aware of that. You've got the extended gusset in the middle of the legging, so there's no triangle, no oval, it's just extended. The inseam I will pop on the screen because I don't want to get it wrong. So yeah, I will pop the inseam on the screen. And then at the back you've just got the ALPHALETE script logo in the middle, so before it was a block, now it's script, and then a very deep V here, and then it comes down to here. So I'm going to pop in like a flat lay here so that you guys can see the difference between this one and the old one whilst I'm talking about it. So this one is slightly higher rise, like I said, old 9 inches, this one's 9.75 inches in the front, so it is higher rise. I also find, comparing small to small, this one has like an inch less of fabric in the hip. It definitely doesn't feel as sort of baggy in the hip region in a size small on me as Aura did before. For reference, in Aura before I was wearing extra small or small, but I did prefer extra small. There's about an inch less fabric in the hip on these. The main difference is in the back. So the back seam used to be like 6.5 inches. Now it's about 5.25. It's much more of an exaggerated dip, so it is a shorter glute seam. I know that's like a really hot topic at the moment. I think I saw Bailey say that like a true short glute seam should be like 2 or 3 inches. So this still wouldn't be like short glute friendly, but you can make up your own minds with that. I just know that I will get asked about it. But yeah, it's a much more like exaggerated V in the back, and that back seam is shorter, so you do have more fabric above the dip. So it's sort of, the waistband honestly now looks really tall from the back. I think it looks taller than it was before, and it is slightly higher rise in the front too. So yeah, those adjustments are on the leggings, the capris, and on the 5-inch shorts. I've just got the leggings to show you. Camel toe wise, you do get a camel toe in these, and I find the camel toe, even with the adjustments, is just the same as it was before. Very camel toe prone in my experience. It's a thinner fabric, it really rides up there. The hoof be hoofing, big fanny gang unite, what can I say? Like, I get camel toe in pretty much any cut and sew seamless legging, so if you are the same, you will probably get a camel toe in these. But it's not uncomfortable, you can just see the cooch, but I mean, you've got anatomy down there and you've got a tight legging on, it's kind of going to mold to it. That's kind of how that works. So I don't think it's the end of the world, but sweatproof, no. Aura is not sweatproof. These leggings are not sweatproof, and they do take longer to dry than other fabrics in my experience, and they show sweat much quicker. Compression, low compression in the leg, low compression through the hip, low compression through the waist. Rise, definitely an ultra high rise legging. It's very, 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 very high in terms of rise. Squat proofness, I'll just go over for Aura now. I don't have the poise colour, but that will be sheer. If you have tattoos, that will be sheer, so just be aware of that. But the anchor colour, completely fine. Dress blue, completely fine. Root, completely fine. And black, completely fine. I have no issues in terms of squat proofness with any of these. A normal thong and then a black brief, just to show you guys, you're probably not going to wear briefs with these leggings, but you might have tattoos. That's mainly why I do that, for people that have tattoos, so that they can see how much of the tattoo they'd be able to see. And in the colours that I have, you will be fine, but with colours like poise, probably not so fine, and I would guess incredibly sheer for those with tattoos or those who want to wear briefs. In terms of like the old Aura to this one and which I prefer, I honestly liked Aura before anyway. I think it just looks bad if you try to pull the seam up your crack. Not every single legging is made to be worn up the crack, and I know that some people want all their leggings to be worn up the crack, in which case I just wouldn't recommend Aura. I don't think it's a good legging for doing that with, because it made the back seam look awful. When I first got those, I thought, oh my god, that seam is friggin' like, that is so long, like why is it so long? But then it became one of the most comfortable leggings, because the more dipped you make that, the more tightness you're going to have down there. It's not as comfortable to wear. It might make it more glute flattering, but Aura, I don't think Aura's main purpose as a legging is to be like hyper glute focused. I think Aura's main purpose as a legging is to be flattering, yes, but to offer high comfort, high stretch, high flexibility, and just something low impact, low compression, something that's really easy to throw on and you can wear it day to day. So I realised, like, from wearing the old Aura pulled out, it actually looks completely fine, but it just starts looking weird and going way too far up if you start to pull it up the crack. With this one, I almost feel like, and I don't know, you guys tell me if I'm going crazy, I almost feel like it's a subtle difference, but I feel like now the waistband looks really tall from the back. It's a nice tweak, and I do think it's a good tweak to have been made, but I didn't hate Aura before, so I'm maybe not the best person to ask. I like both of them. I can see that this is probably going to be more glute flattering for people, but I would still say, if you try to pull this up your bum crack, it's not going to look the best. So if you are wanting a legging that's going to go right up there and separate, go for something like On Tour, go for something like Amplify. Aura is not the best legging to be doing that with, so I would just be aware of that. So it is tweaked slightly, it's knocked about an inch off, so if that was something that was putting you off before, you might find them better now, but it's still technically too long for a short glute seam, because like I said, I think Bailey said that's like 2 to 3 inches, so it's still technically too long for that. It's one of my most worn leggings. The only issue that I have with Aura, and it's the reason why I would always probably choose Tenacity Core now, is it does bag out through the day. It doesn't retain its shape that well. Even with the extra inch off the hip, it bags out behind the knee and it doesn't stay as tight as it is when you first put it on throughout the day. So with that being said, sizing wise, I would say you can stay true to sizing Aura, you don't have to size down, but if you are someone that's prone to like things bagging out through the day, or you just want a bit more of like a lift, you might want to try a size down, because I do think I would probably still prefer an extra small, even though they've tweaked the fit and I would say it is more true to size now. I still probably would have preferred an extra small just to give me that extra lift, but you don't have to. It's a preference thing. Generally, it does fit true to size, but if you want more of a, then you can size down and it will give you a bit more of a tight feeling, but it's still going to be low compression. You're not going to get Tenacity or Amplify compression out of Aura. It's not that, but if you want low impact, you want low compression, you want high comfort, you will love it. And in terms of like adjusting, I do find that I have to adjust Aura a lot through the day. It does slide down, it doesn't stay in place. I do find myself having to like pull the legs up throughout the day as well, so that's something to be aware of too. But yeah, do let me know what you guys think about the Aura update. Do you prefer old, new? I feel like most people are going to go with new, so I'm intrigued to see what people's feedback is on the updated fit for Aura. Finally, we have a new style, which is the Aura fold over pant. First of all, my first gripe with these before I get into it is the inseam. The inseam is 33 inches apparently. Mine are 33.5, I believe, so like give or take half an inch either side, because you can get like discrepancies with things, but they're meant to be a 33-inch inseam. Now, there is only one inseam option. I wish ALPHALETE would stop doing this. It's not going to work for everyone. For short people, these will probably be way too long, like if you have a really short inseam. If you are tall, these are not going to be tall enough if you are genuinely a tall person with a really long inseam. There's just no reason. I would honestly almost rather we didn't do like straight legs, and we need straight legs, I'll get onto that, but I'd almost rather we weren't doing these if we weren't going to offer inseam options, because it's just irritating to people because they're not all going to be able to buy this product. And it's not that it's everyone's God-given right to be able to buy every single product, but there should be options. Pretty much every other brand would never drop a flare in one inseam option, so I don't understand why we are doing that. So I just wanted to address that really quickly. Second thing is just to address my bias when it comes to flares, because I have now realised I am biased. I've realised this year I prefer a straight leg on me. I've never liked a flare. I've always felt a little bit schoolgirlish and like they just look a bit weird on me in a flare, unless it's like a super like tapered one and it's not quite flared. I prefer like a really mini flare. I've always just felt a bit silly in them. I tried a straight leg pant this year. That is more flattering on my body. A straight leg pant is so much more flattering on my body, but I do believe that ALPHALETE would need to engineer a thinner fabric for a straight leg pant, because I don't think Aura would sit right in straight leg. Whilst it's a thin fabric, I think it's too thick. So I would love to see a new fabric and a straight leg pant. Is anyone else on the straight leg train? Because now that I've joined it, I just don't do flares, because I've realised no, those are not meant for me. My body shape, my preference, they don't look quite right. Just to address my bias first of all, but if you like a flare, we have a fold over option. So details wise for these come honestly looking like maternity leggings, and I've seen a lot of people say that with a fold over pant they're great for maternity. So if you are having a baby, you might love these, because you can probably wear them during and then after you can wear them rolled down. So if you're having a baby, something to know. I've heard great things about fold over pants as maternity pants. It basically comes like this, and you've got 6 inches of fabric which you can then roll over, and typically when they are rolled they should then look something like this. Now you can roll them down further to make them sit lower, you can scrunch them up, basically make these look however you want them to look on you. They're very adjustable in that sense. And then in terms of detailing, the logo is actually on the right hand side on these, so on all the tops it's on the left. On this one it's on the right hand side, and again it's just that ALPHALETE cursive logo, but you can't even see it from a distance. And other than that, there's no branding, there's no front seam. You have a extended gusset, again this one is slightly shorter than the original Aura Flare, and then a 33-inch inseam, mine are 33.5, but you have to give and take like ½ an inch for discrepancy. And then from the back, the seam is very much straight across, like it's not really dipped at all. Hopefully you guys can see there. And then the back seam, it looks sort of gathered, so it's almost like they've tried to do a hidden scrunch, but that does not work because this is like 7 inches, like this is longer than an Aura back seam. So if you are really up on the like short glute trend sort of thing, I would be aware of that. I do think it's something to note. It's a very long seam at the back, but you can see how it's sort of ruched, but it doesn't do anything. A hidden scrunch in my experience is only going to work when the scrunch is shorter, because this is just too long. Like, I don't know if that was the intention, it's not on the details, but it does have that sort of like puckered look. And in terms of the flare, it's very similar to the Aura Flare in terms of how it sits. It flares from like just above the knee, it's not tight on the knee or anything like that, and it has the curved side detail down the side as well. You see, really flattering on the glutes, really flattering from the side. So these are like highly adjustable, you can fold them down, fold them up as much as you would like to do so. In terms of camel toe, I actually find I don't really get a super bad camel toe in these because they're quite like, I don't know, there's just something about the way that these sit across my hips. I don't really get too bad of a camel toe in them, but if you pull them up more, you probably would get a bit more of a camel toe. In terms of like movement, kneeling down in these, like squatting down when they are fully rolled over, I don't have my underwear out at the back. Obviously if you roll them down really far, you might. It does dip a little bit, but my underwear is not out. I'm able to sort of move freely with these. In terms of like the weight of these, I always find the fabric on the flares compared to the leggings just seems a bit thicker. I don't know if it's because it's wider legs, so it feels like it's denser, but I do find that these do feel a little denser than the legging. But in terms of compression through the leg, low compression. I would definitely say these fit very similar through the leg to the original Aura Flare. However, in Aura Flares I do an extra small. In these I got a size small and a medium because when I shot in these in London in a size small, they were so tight on my hip that it was just pushing up the fat that I have in that region, and it was really not flattering in my opinion. I felt very uncomfortable honestly having to take photos in them. I was like, oh my god, like I'm not a big fan of this. Like, it wasn't flattering. I wished I'd have had a size up. And considering I usually do an extra small in my Aura Flares, that gives you an insight into just how tight these are once you fold them over. So if I show you guys what I mean, fold over has shape built into it, like you guys can see. It has shape built into it, which means that when you fold it over, the intention is it won't move around as much, it's not going to be flimsy. But I feel like because it's double lined here, I feel like this is too thick to be a chill fold over. Like if you have any body fat around the hips, this is just going to push that body fat up. I've no doubt on incredibly lean people or people that don't store fat in that area, there is no issue, but I do want to make it clear that if you do have body fat in that area, first of all, do not size down if you have body fat in that area. Second of all, even in your true to size, you might get that pushing up, because in a size small, that's my true size, I do get pushing up, and it's worse in the black. I'll pop in a little video and show you guys. It's definitely worse in the black, so the black does fit a little bit tighter. It's definitely worse in the black than the blue, but I still do get it. So I ordered a medium as well, but then I just find like the crotch feels really baggy in the medium, and it doesn't look as flattering. It's not as flattering on the glutes for me in a medium in a size up. So I would stay true to size, but for me I would just pass on this product. I think the fold over is way too thick. It sits too tight on my hips, and I have fold over pants. I actually love fold over pants because, oh my god, when that fold over hits and these are really flattering from the back because it hits at like the perfect point on the glute, and it just gives you a real like shelf appearance, and it looks really good. But all my other ones are much thinner fabrics, so you're not going to get that bulging because it's not going to compress anything up or down. Because it's Aura, and yes, it's low compression, but it's got that shape built into it, and it's double layered, so it's thicker. It does just push things up. So I don't really love the size small, and I also don't really love the size medium. I want to see a straight leg fold over pant from ALPHALETE in a fabric that's a bit thinner, so that I'm not getting that like pushing up. I've no doubt for the leaner athletes, for the leaner people looking to buy, you will love these, but I would definitely say to stay true to size. I wouldn't size down in them because it is going to be tight on the hip. Unless you have a very low body fat percentage, I would stay true to size in these. And if you do store fat in that region, just be aware, some people will be fine with it pushing the body fat up and they don't mind how it looks. It just makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. And like I said, it's nothing against fold over pants. I have fold over pants. I love fold over pants. I just find this a bit too tight. Now, with that being said, the flip side to that is because it is a bit tighter, it does stay in place honestly really well. I don't find that it moves around much. I don't find that I have to readjust it much. In terms of the inseam for these, on me, and if you are ever curious about inseam, don't go off height, because someone could be 5'8" but have a shorter inseam than someone who's 5'2". So never go off height in terms of trying to work out if something's going to be too short or too long. Ask people what their inseam is. Mine is 31 inches to the floor, so a 33-inch inseam in theory should be fine on me. But I do find with a trainer, and I'm just very particular, I want my pant to skim the ground. Like skim the ground, be very, very, very close to the ground. And I do find that these are just a little bit short on me. I would want like an extra ½ inch, I think, in terms of length, and then I would be perfectly happy with them. I find with the Aura fabric in general, there's something about it that just makes it lose length. So even though it is 33 and a half, it doesn't seem like it is once it's on. Like the Amplify flares that I'll show you are 34, but they feel so much longer than these. You have like a super long inseam, these are going to be too short for you. Equally, if you've got like a 27-inch inseam, a super short leg, these are going to be too long for you. I would say these are probably going to be best for people who have a similar inseam to me or slightly shorter. And it depends what trainers you use, like, because if you use a really chunky trainer, if you use a less chunky trainer, it's all dependent. So factor in your inseam length and then add on how like thick your shoes are to work out what sort of an inseam is going to work for you. But for me, they're just a little bit short. I wish they were a little bit longer. I just wish that we had inseam options, because it's kind of crazy to me to drop a flared pant or a straight leg pant with no inseam option. In terms of glute flatteriness, even though these have got like that long seam at the back, which I know is meant to be like really unflattering, I honestly find these really flattering on the glutes. Like they sit nicely, especially in the dusty blue colour. I feel like these make my glutes look really good, and I do love how my glutes look in these. I find them very flattering. It's not going to give you like Amplify, it's not going to push up or anything like that, but they are very flattering and very comfortable throughout the leg. I just find them a bit too snug on the hip region. So yeah, for me personally, the Aura fold over pant is a pass. I think this is going to be great for people who have a specific inseam, because obviously we've only got one option, and also people who want like that tighter fold over on the hip, people who are leaner, people who have lower body fat in that region. I think those people are going to love this. I don't think it's a flop of a product. I just don't think it's that accessible or user-friendly or flattering on all body types, which no product ever can be. But I don't think having a thinner waistband would have been unflattering on people that are leaner. Yeah, I find that these are just a little bit of a miss for me, but not a bad quality product. There's nothing wrong with the quality. Just remember, with pilling, our Aura does pill over time, so do be aware of that. So yeah, the Aura fold over pant for me is personally a pass. Final Aura piece really quick, we have an Aura headband. Now these are tight when you get them sewn. Mine's stretched out a little bit now, so it is more comfortable. When you get them, these are 9.5 inches, so that's actually quite small for a headband. Mine is now stretched to 10.5. I do have a slightly bigger cranium. just saying. But they are quite tight. Like, I left mine on all day the other day and I got a line here from the seam on the inside. There is a seam on the inside and it did leave a line, and I also had the worst headache. I don't know why I didn't put 2 and 2 together, but I just didn't. But yeah, with it being Aura, you've got that little tonal script logo in the middle there, and then it's just thinner around the back. It's sort of like, honestly guys, it's giving Aura Bando throwback. This probably has more coverage than that did. But it literally looks exactly like that if you have that. Really nice piece. With it being tighter, if you are looking for a headband that stays in place, boy, this stays in place. It doesn't move, it doesn't budge, it doesn't roll back. Just be aware, it can be tight. It'll depend on the size of your head, but it can be quite tight when you first get it, but it does stretch out. Yeah, I really like this. I thought it was too tight when I got it, but now I've stretched it out a bit, I'm actually okay with it. And I would actually say it's a really cute piece to pick up, especially with 20% off and then a code on top. I feel like these are going to be a really reasonable price. So yeah, big up the Aura headband. That was probably the quickest, 1 minute 40. Damn, that was a quick review, but I would actually recommend this. I think it's a really nice product. It's double layered, the fabric is really nice. I really wouldn't recommend it to people that are clumsy though, because I think these are coming on their own, like in single packs, which can add up. And I lose headbands all the time. So if you are someone that loses headbands, it might be a bit of a splurge. So I would maybe stick to the boots, £4 for 4 sort of packs. But if you are someone that's more careful with your belongings, a little Aura headband to match the rest of the fit. I think it's really cute, and I like that the logo is tonal. I have black and I have lace, and I really like both of them. Apologies if there is like an angle change or anything like that. My camera battery actually died because I've already been filming for 2 hours. So we're going to move on to the next collection. So I'm going to go over Seamless now, because this is definitely like the second biggest collection in this drop. So I'm going to tell you everything Seamless. I'll go over them item by item. There are some new pieces, some returning pieces. I don't want this video to be like too like long. It's going to be long. Subtle foreshadowing, is probably 4 hours, but it's going to be a long video. So if you want like depth on the contour bra or the glass tank or contour shorts, please go and check out my original reviews, because these items are still the same now. So I'm not going to go over them too much, but the new items, I want to give those a little bit more time. So the first thing that I want to go over when it comes to Seamless is fabric. Every single item that I'm about to show you has the exact same fabric blend: 51 polyamide, 38 polyester and 11 elastane. Every single piece I'm about to show you has that fabric blend. So typically ALPHALETE Seamless in recent times, it's always been the same fabric blend, but it's much softer, it's much fluffier almost, it's a lot silkier, it's not as like textured as their original Amplify fabric was. It's technically a nicer hand feel, but it does lend itself to be a little bit more sheer, to being a little bit more pill prone and all that sort of stuff. Personally, I prefer like a tougher fabric, and there are items in this drop that have slightly different feeling fabrics. I don't know if it's dye, I don't know if it's a specific piece, and I will signpost that as I go through. So the first thing that I'm going to go over is the Revive short and the Revive legging. We have the Revive short, which is a 5-inch inseam, and we have the Revive legging, which is, I believe, a 26-inch inseam. I'm going to put it on the screen just in case I've got that wrong. So this is, you guessed it, the clue's in the name, a take on the Revival legging, but it's very different. I will be honest, this legging and short to me is if Amplify, Revival and Honor Active's Effortless had a baby together, it would be this legging, because there's elements from all three, and I will pop in some comparisons throughout. I'm going to go over details, and as I go over details, I'm just going to say them as they are. I'm going to try not to go into comparing, because I'll do a whole comparison section. So you do have a 3-tier waistband. It's not the same as Amplify, I'll get into that later, but you have a 3-tier waistband. The rise on the leggings is about 8 inches. On the shorts, it's 9 inches, just to make you aware. The shorts do sit higher than the leggings in my experience. You can have differences, but I do find that the leggings in general sit lower than the shorts do, and they do measure differently as well. Have this sort of like curved detailing on the waistband here, which sort of swoops in, sort of almost like Aura does. And there's one sort of on the side as well, which swoops round to the front. You have the mesh paneling down the side of both the legging and the short as well, which sort of intertwines with these sort of like 3D swoops, like they're not completely flat. If you guys can see they have like texture to them. They're not completely flat. So you have that on the short and the leggings, so you do still have that mesh panel that is on Amplify, but I would say it definitely seems a little bit thicker. It doesn't seem as thin as it is on standard Amplify. And then as you move through the leg, the main details on the front is obviously the iconic ribbed paneling from the Revivals. This is slightly different and I will go over that, but yeah, you have a like quad sweep panel on the front, and then it sweeps from the front round to the back of the leg, and then that panel sort of continues through to the bottom, so then it's all ribbed at the bottom, sort of like the Revivals were, but it is slightly different. That's the same on both legs. And then on the back you've got the ALPHALETE logo. It's on this sort of like patch here, like so. You then have a scrunch, which again I will go over that in much more detail, and then you have this, which is new for ALPHALETE. It's meant to give a mini butt lift, so if I show you, you guys can see the fabric is sort of puckering up here, which is a telltale sign of there being like a bit of underglute compression. But this underglute compression only goes under the inner portion. It's the inner portion only, a half to 3/4 of your glutes, and then it stops. So you have a sturdier section here, which is definitely thicker and higher compression. It then moves to a slightly lower compression. The rest is just like the leg fabric. There's no paneling there or anything like that, so it's only under the inner like 3/4. And in terms of the shorts, the exact same details I've just gone over. Obviously, like I mentioned, these are a 5-inch inseam. You don't have the thick bottom band that you have on the contour on these, and you've got all the same details. It has the underglute compression just under the first like 3/4 to half of the short, and then the outside it has nothing. Scrunch on the back, 5-inch inseam allegedly, but mine are actually a 5.5-inch inseam, and I do find that I do notice they feel longer than my contours once they're on, but they are meant to be 5 inches, so I think that's probably just a discrepancy because you've usually got like half an inch of tolerance either way. But those are the main details. Now I feel like in terms of talking about how these sort of work, it's better to probably compare these to other products. So first of all, I will compare to Revival legging and Revival short. Honestly, nothing like the Revival legging in my opinion, other than the fact that you have that ribbed detailing that was on the Revival legging. The Revival leggings had the like mesh lining, which could be quite sheer in a squat. These ones don't have the mesh lining along the ribbed panel. The ribbed panel on the new is much thinner. On the old, it was much wider. Old ones didn't have a 3-tier waistband, and they were ultra high rise. They also had a front seam and a back seam, no scrunch. The Revive leggings have a scrunch. They have a 3-tier waistband and no front seam. The old ones had glute contouring, but there was no actual glute lifting built into that legging. It was just sort of like the shaping would do its thing. There was no actual like built-in, this is gonna lift your glute sort of thing with that. So overall, these are actually quite different to the Revival legging. I would say the only thing that's similar is that paneling. They are very, very, very different. And if I'm gonna be honest, I think it's nice that they've put like a spin on it, but I think it would have been a good opportunity to give us a seamless option with no scrunch on it, because at this point we've got Contour Amplify, we've got 5, 6, 7 different updated fits versions of Amplify, we've got Special Edition Amplify, we've got Split Logo Amplify, we've got Contour Amplify, and now we've got basically another version of Amplify just with slightly different detailings on it. I think it would have been nice to have given a non-scrunch seamless option like a deep V-seam. It would have been a good opportunity to maybe try that out. And I think when people are asking for the Revivals back, they never had a scrunch, so there's clearly a market for something that doesn't have a scrunch. I just think it could have been a good opportunity to try something a bit different in terms of the glute region, which obviously they have with the mini lift, but in terms of the scrunch, a lot of people seem to be moving away from scrunch, so I just think it would have been a cool option to just try something a little bit different with that. The other thing to compare these two is obviously Amplify and Amplify Contour. So in terms of the detailing on the legs, obviously with Contour you've got more of like the waffle print on the leggings. On these it's more like the rib detailing. I cannot do the waffle print on Contour leggings, but on the Revival leggings I don't mind this rib paneling. I don't find it looks too garish or out there. I honestly think it looks completely fine and it's not very noticeable, whereas I personally found the waffle detail on contour very noticeable. In terms of the shorts, to compare those to contour, those ones had a 1 inch bottom band. These ones are 0.75, so these are like normal Amplify bottom band. They don't have that thick bottom band like contour does. And then the other difference is, think of like the glute shaping being flipped. So with contour, that glute shaping is really only on the outer portion. With this, it's only on the inner portion, and with this it does actually like try to lift the glutes. There is some compression in there, whereas with contour it's more of like a design feature rather than a function. Rise, I would say the shorts sit honestly pretty similar to how contour shorts sit, but in terms of the leggings, I find that these do sit a little bit lower than contour leggings. So if you prefer more of like a mid to high rise, you might prefer these. And the other main difference is obviously that 3-tier waistband. The original Amplify and Amplify contour waistband has that like thick, dense 3-tier waistband. This one is thinner, it's not as thick in density, the ribs are much further apart. This one feels a bit stiffer and a bit crinkly almost. The Amplify one is thicker, it's plusher, it's more densely woven, that has more shape to it. These ones are much more of a non-tapered waistband. Amplify has a much more tapered waistband, and as a result Amplify is high compression in the waist. These ones I would say are a moderate compression, and they are much more comfortable in my experience. I'm going to pop in a side by side here where you can see if I sit down fully relaxed in a size small contour short and if I sit down fully relaxed in a size small Revive short, you can see the difference in waist compression. It's notable. Revive is much comfier, it's more moderate compression. If you are someone who really enjoys the high compression of Amplify, then you might not like this as much, you might not feel as snatched in this. But if you are someone who is sick of feeling like if you want to sit down in leggings and a sports bra in Amplify, you need to have gone up 3 sizes to sit comfortably, fully relaxed, I think Revive is a really nice option. The waistband, whilst it's not as tapered, on me anyway, in my true to size, it doesn't gape. I don't find that I have a gap when I squat down. I don't find that it's hanging off me or anything like that. It's just a nice moderate compression. If you want super snatched, you'd want to go with Amplify, but if you are wanting more of a moderate compression, these will be much more suitable. The other difference obviously between this and contour is I do find that with these, especially in the shorts, I have much more fabric in the hip compared to with contour. In like workout clips, you can just see I have more gathering in the hip region when it comes to the fabric on the Revive range in general, but especially with the shorts I notice it more. And the bottom band is not as tight as contour is. It does still roll just as much as contour does. They technically are both a 5-inch inseam. It rolls just as much. It doesn't cause an issue for me. I'm not actually super bothered by it rolling, but just be aware it's not as tight on the thigh. So if you found contour shorts way too tight on the thigh on that bottom band, these are going to be a lot more comfortable for you. Equally, if you love how tight contour is on that bottom band, you might not like these as much because it's not going to be as tight. So yeah, Amplify, high compression, Revive, more of a moderate compression while still not gaping. And it's honestly a really nice, like happy sort of medium in my opinion. And it's something that I think ALPHALETE honestly needed to add because they kept fannying around with the fit of Amplify, the rise of Amplify, everything with Amplify. Just leave Amplify and contour and everything like that as like a high compression option and bring in something totally different to serve a different audience rather than trying to tweak it every other drop to please everyone and you end up pleasing no one because you keep messing around with something to try and please other people and then you're displeasing another group. Let's just have more options. And it's really nice that they've now done a seamless option which is just not quite as compressive as Amplify, which I know some people find too much, and if you find it too much, I think you're going to really like the Revive range. And the other interesting thing that I wanted to compare to with this having like that mini butt lift is actually the aero leggings, because if you know, you know, ALPHALETE was totally on this glute compression thing years ago. Before other people were doing it, ALPHALETE were giving it a good whack, and the aero leggings, they literally never get spoken about. I've just gone to pick them up so that I can show you guys, but I am telling you guys, ALPHALETE were doing the glute compression first. It literally had this whole ribbed thing around the arse. And I remember when I got these and I was like, this is kind of weird. And no other brand, I'm sure that other brands did, but it wasn't like a mainstream thing. It wasn't like this thing that every brand needs to have an under glute compression legging. So I find it really interesting that people forget about this, but like ALPHALETE was ahead of its time with the aero leggings. So in terms of comparing the Revive to the aero leggings, obviously with the aero leggings, that compression went all the way around the glute, inner to outer, and then it curved around the side. It had different detailing in the leg as well, but really comparing here, I want to talk about that glute compression. With this one, from a distance and even up close, you can barely see it. Like, it's very, 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 very subtle. It's not noticeable at all. If you are buying these looking for like a defined sort of lift, forget it. It's not that legging. It's not trying to be that legging. It's not claiming to be that legging. It is a tiny little bit of help just on the inner portion, and because it's only on the inner portion, if that sort of like very obvious push-up effect is something that you are wanting to avoid, the leggings in particular might be a good option for you, because it definitely does give a little bit of a lift. And in comparison to the aero leggings, for example, this one, obviously it's just on the inner portion and you really can't see it. But I would say if the aeros had have had a scrunch on them and not just that like stiff back seam, they probably would have done a better glute lifting job than the Revive leggings. But the Revive have the help of the scrunch and just the fabric being a bit thinner than aero was. Aero was a very thick fabric. It definitely lends to being more sort of like it can mold to you a bit better than the thicker aero fabric could. So those are just some comparisons to other products and just to sort of give you a little bit of an insight. So I now just kind of want to go step by step talking about each feature and sort of pointing out any differences. So the waistband, yes, it's that 3-tier waistband, but it is not anywhere near as compressive as Amplify. It's much more spaced out, it's much more gappy, it's not as tapered in the waist, so this is going to give you like a medium moderate compression. It's not high compression. It's much more comfortable in my opinion, and like I said before, if you are someone who finds you cannot sit down in Amplify without feeling like you are literally being squeezed to within an inch of your life, this will be a much better option for you. It's also not got that taper built into it. Smaller waist than I do hips, but it's just not anything crazy. I'm not super tiny in the waist. I find this fine, but I can see how if you were super tiny in the waist, you might get a little bit of gaping with this and you might get on better with Amplify. I don't think this is an option that is going to be like adored by people who want high compression in the waist, but if you are sick of high compression with Amplify in the waist, I think you're going to really enjoy these. If you were curious for a measurement between the Revive and the contour shorts, the contour shorts are typically 10 inches, the Revive are 11, so they are also an extra inch wider on the waist, as well as not being as tapered. In terms of the scrunch, there is a slight difference of these compared to contour or compared to standard Amplify, which I just wanted to point out to you guys really quickly, and that is just, can you see how this is a normal Amplify scrunch? Normal Amplify scrunch here, and it's all joined up, so you can see there's no gap here. On the Revive pieces, this is sort of comes down into a V here, and then there's a gap, so can you see how there's like a sharp arrow here, and then there's a gap here. And I do find, because the scrunchies measure fairly similarly, you are give or take getting about like 3.5 to 4 inches in terms of the scrunch space, which is pretty standard. Amplify tends to range from 3 to 4 inches depending on if it's brand new. As soon as it stretches, usually it's 3.5. So even though it might come in 3, it's going to end up being 3.5 unless you just never wear it on your body. So it's pretty standard in terms of like the scrunch length. But I do think having that extra gap, even though you might think, oh, that looks like it's a much longer scrunch space, the scrunch starts lower down, so I don't actually find that I find it poking up my lower back much. It's crazy because it really depends where you take an angle from, and I've started noticing when I put my phone much lower down, it looks like the scrunch is going much more up my back than it actually is, whereas at eye level you really can't see it much in these. Just be aware the scrunch, yeah, it looks like a longer scrunch space, but it starts further down, so it does actually sit in the glutes quite nicely. Still got the 4-row scrunch. It's pretty much the exact same as the Amplify scrunch. Now in terms of the leggings, the compression throughout the leg much higher than normal Amplify. That's because you've obviously got that ribbing detail, so they are fitting much tighter throughout the leg. So I personally prefer that. I prefer a tighter fit throughout the leg, so I actually prefer how these feel on leg to normal Amplify. I would choose the Revive legging over Amplify Contour, over standard Amplify, because I prefer how it fits through the leg. It's tighter through the leg and more comfortable in the waist, which is my preference because I find I get more of a lift that way. In terms of the leg on the shorts, wider than Contour, this really reminds me of how like cotton candy feels on the thigh. So if you liked how that felt, because I didn't find that too tight on the thigh, tight on the waist yes, but in the thigh and the hip it really reminds me of how cotton candy sort of fit. Another thing to note with the Revive shorts is instead of the tag being on the back, it's actually on the leg. So, and it's very long, so I would recommend that you cut this out because it will stick out of the bottom. I don't know why they put this on the leg. They should have just left it on the waistband. And again, it's got the normal Amplify bottom, so it's not like Contour where it's a thicker band. It's a standard bottom band and it does roll just as much. Now in terms of that underglute compression, the leggings work for me. The shorts, I don't know, I'm going to pop in some clips from a workout that I did. I don't find it any more flattering than Contour. I don't find it any less flattering than Contour. The only thing I notice is I get extra fabric in the hip, which I don't get with Contour as much. I get some, but not as much as I do with these. So I do wish there was less fabric in the hip, but I don't find with the shorts that the Contour really does much, like that glute lift. I don't, maybe a little bit, but I don't find that it does much. Whereas with the leggings, I do find that I can note a difference. The only thing I will say is it's because of the underglute contouring, I'm getting like a bunching of fabric under the glutes that I don't get to that extent in normal Amplify. So do note that in the leggings, I do find I'm getting like a bagging of the fabric under the glutes, which I don't get in normal Amplify. And I feel like whilst I'm talking about this, I want to talk about fabric because definitely differences between colours for me with this. And it's not like a slight difference in my experience. So my Purple Noir feels soft, silky, stretchy. It feels like normal Amplify sort of does. It feels like any Amplify that's super stretchy, super thin, super tight, like that is how one feels. It feels super silky. Whereas with my Palace, it feels much tighter, like notably tighter, and also notably a little bit thicker. Now, I don't know if it's going to look that much thicker here, but on body, this feels thicker than this does, and it does impact the fit, and it impacts the effectiveness of that under glute lift. And because I've only got 3 of these pieces, it's really hard for me to work out what is the standard fit of this, because the small, I feel like the thigh isn't tight at all in the small Purple Noir, but in the Palace, when this rolls up, the thigh is actually quite tight. So there is a difference, which is to be expected between dyes, but it is notable. It's not to the point where I'm going to say size up in this colour, because I've not seen that this is like a standard thing. I don't know if this is a standard thing. I find with this range, I am really noticing a difference between how colours fit. And with the Palace Blue, I find that I can really feel the underglute contour doing more than I can with the Purple Noir, because it feels thicker, it feels denser, it's not as stretchy, it's not as silky. I prefer how this feels and how this looks, because I feel like it lifts more. I feel like I'm feeling the benefit of that underglute contour that I don't get in the Purple Noir colour. And the same can be said for the Formula Red colour. I find that this feels like a much denser, slightly thicker fabric than the Purple Noir one. It feels closer to like an OG Amplify, or like the Good Gravity colours. It feels more like that, and as a result it fits a little bit more, it fits a little tighter, and I can feel the underglute contour in the leggings in this colour. I do find that the dye is definitely changing how these fit, and the difference between the purple and the blue in the shorts, because I've got 2 to compare and they're both the same size, is honestly quite stark. And hopefully you can see from those punch through tests, this is like your typical like cotton candy sort of fabric, super like thin, stretchy. These 2 are much denser and thicker, still soft, yeah, but not quite as soft. They don't feel as fluffy, they don't feel as like pantyhose like as the purple. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. In terms of the rise for these, the shorts are 9 inches in my experience, in what I can measure, and the leggings are 8 inches. So the leggings do sit slightly lower than the shorts do. I do find that these don't have the vertical stretch that like Gleece, Aquari or any of that had. So even though they are 9 inches, I do find that these sit sort of, the shorts honestly sit sort of similar to where Contour sits on me. And I find that with the leggings, the rise on these hits me somewhere between Gravity and the December drop, which was a much lower rise. They're not as low as Berry. I'll show you a side by side here. Not as low as Berry, but also not as high as like Pixel Pink or like Aquari was. So hopefully you can see side by side what drops these are sort of most similar to, but the shorts do sit higher than the leggings. So if you prefer a slightly lower rise, go with the leggings. But I would say these are comfortably just like a standard high rise legging. I wouldn't say they're mid rise. Now in terms of pilling, I have trained in the Formula Red and I sat on the floor in them. They didn't pill, they didn't bubble, none of that. The Palace I've worn and they haven't pilled, they haven't bubbled because they just feel a little bit better. I did train glutes in the Purple Noir and I have started noticing some pilling on the bum, and I've worn these once. So I wouldn't recommend that you sit on the turf in these. I wouldn't recommend that you sit on a gym floor in these. Sit on smooth surfaces only. The difference between Purple Noir and the Palace and the Formula Red colour for me is notable, and it's notable enough to be worth mentioning because it does impact the fit and it will also impact the durability. If you get a seamless piece that feels softer, more like pantyhose tight, like thinner, please be aware that it's going to be very susceptible to pilling. I would be mindful of sitting on the gym floor, turf, anything like that. Stick to smooth surfaces. I much prefer how these fit and how these feel. These feel amazing and they've not pilled yet. Granted, I've only worn them like once or twice, but these remind me of like any Amplify where it's going to pill pretty much straight away. So yeah, definitely none of them are pill proof, but the purple colour feels much more like that typical Amplify that's not going to be very durable. In terms of squat proofness, I'm going to pop my squat proof tests in here. So I've got nude thong on one side, on the other side I've got a black brief, which I do more for tattoos. Honestly, I would wear all of these on a leg day. The red is probably the worst, I believe, from what I recall. The red is definitely the worst, and if you have tattoos, I would maybe be mindful of that one, but the other two are completely fine. Also be mindful of the fact that with a legging, it's stretched over a much bigger surface area, it's more likely to pull shear, so do be aware of that, whereas with a short, it's a little bit easier for it to not pull so sheer and not stretch out as much. Now in terms of sizing for these, I would recommend you stay true to size, unless you are someone who wants to try and get more compression out of it, or you are very like narrow in the waist, you might want to size down. And if you are between sizes for this range, I would say it really depends on how you want things to fit. If you really want to max out on that comfortable compression, you might want to size up. If you want to try and get a bit more compression out of it and you're between sizes and that's your preference, you would size down. But for everyone else, don't fanny around with sizing, just stay true to size. I wear a size small and they are completely fine in both the legging and the short. The only thing I would say is I do get excess fabric in the short, in particular across the hip, but the waist fits me really nice, and this is such a good option if you don't want super high compression and you want a break from Amplify. I also find because this waistband is thinner, it sits nicer with tops over it, like thin tops. You can't see like the bulk of the waistband as much as you can with Amplify. I did notice that. Sweatproof, not sweatproof. Camel toe wise, I'm pretty fine in these. I don't notice that I get like a super bad camel toe or anything like that. And in terms of rolling, just as it pertains to the shorts, they roll up pretty much immediately. I'll pop in a clip here. You can see as I sit down, they literally ping up. They roll up and they sit pretty much how the contour shorts sit or how the standard 4.5 inch sit. That's the point that they're going to roll to. They're not long enough to not roll, so do keep in mind they will roll. They just aren't as tight on that bottom band as contour. Will be much more comfortable on the leg. They don't dig in as much, but again, do be aware some colours do tend to fit a little tighter. And if you're interested in the black, I would say you might want to try a size up just based off how these feel. If these feel tighter, I can only imagine that black would feel quite snug. In terms of do I recommend these, I think these are great if you are someone who is in the market for a less compressive seamless option and you want something from ALPHALETE. I think these are a really good option. However, I do still think my contour shorts pip them in terms of the glute flatteringness. Like, contour shorts are just immediately flattering on the glutes. And in terms of the legging, it depends what you are looking for, but in terms of me, when it comes to ALPHALETE Seamless, this is my favourite seamless legging that they have. I would put this and the Everyday Core legging, the Tenacity legging, as my top 2 leggings from ALPHALETE now, and I really, really, really like these. And again, if you want that high compression in the waist, you're probably not gonna love these, but if you are someone that wants a stiffer leg, something that's tighter in the leg and more comfortable in the waist, which is my preference, I think you're really, really gonna like these, and it's worth you giving them a go. Just wish that they had tried something different with the glute region on this option, giving us a dipped back seam rather than doing a scrunch. Revival never had that, so it's an interesting choice to basically make Revival's now Amplify. I just wish it had been left as something a little bit different for people that don't want the scrunch, because people that wanted Revival's back probably didn't want the scrunch. Another brand new seamless piece is the Amplify Flare. So details wise for these, I've only got them in Oceania, which I've already gone over earlier in the video, but if you weren't around for that, it's not the same as the original Oceania. It's much closer to Victory Blue. But this has got the standard 3-tier waistband. The rise is very similar to Gravity Amplify, I find, so it's definitely more of a high rise fit than the Berry Drop. It's definitely higher than the Berry Drop in terms of how this pulls up as well. I do find that this comfortably hits me like belly button high. Logo is just on the back as standard, and then you have the scrunch on the back as standard. Again, the 4-row scrunch, you're looking at about 3 to 3.5 inches. It sits nicely in the glutes. I don't find that this is escaping its way up my lower back and giving me long crack vibes. You have the mesh panel down the side, which has been changed back. So, you know, with Gravity, they made it more streamlined and longer, and it honestly curved a bit nicer. It's now back to the original, like, blocky bottom, shorter one that finishes just above the knee, just to make you guys aware. And then it flares at the bottom. And you also have a different gusset. So the gusset is an extended one. So you have this little portion here under the coochie, and then it goes into like basically a giant extended gusset which flares out all through the middle of the legging. So this is the gusset. It basically just starts narrower and gets wider towards the bottom. There is a reason for that, because I remember we actually started working on these when I was in Turkey with ALPHALETE. I thought they'd totally scrapped them, but clearly not. But there is a reason for the gusset. I just can't remember what it is. I don't love it. I wish that it didn't have to be that way, and hopefully in future ones they can get rid of it, because it's honestly, it's a bit itchy. I can feel the seams and they feel quite stiff and itchy on my leg. I don't know if I've just got sensitive, well, I do have sensitive skin, but do be aware of that. It's a little sort of itchy. Now, in terms of fabric for these, again, it's that same seamless fabric, but brother in Christ, these are thick. Like, these are, the waistband has like barely any give to it. This is highly compressive, definitely a more compressive Amplify than some recent ones, and the fabric is thick compared to, so if I show you this Contour, which is obviously much thinner, much more tight like, these are very thick. Like, these have weight to them. The fabric on these is nowhere near as soft as standard Amplify. It feels closer to that OG. Still soft, but it's not fluffy, it's not thin, it's not tight like. It's got a bit more tightness to it. It's a bit more compressive. So I would note that it does have a slight sheen to it. The only thing is, again, there is differences between colours, because I shot in the red ones and those felt more like pantyhose, like super thin, so do be aware of that. And these are only coming, again, I've already done my inseam rant, so I'm not going to do it again, but there's only one inseam. It's 34 inches, so these are tall girl friendly, and the way that these sit, I get more length out of these than I would in an Aura 34 inch. I don't know why, they just fit incredibly long in comparison to Aura, but I much prefer how this flare sits compared to Aura. If you are looking for a flare bottom that is not as like flowy at the bottom, it's a bit more tapered, these feel much more tapered. The way that this sits over my shoe is, rather than being like that, it sits sort of round the shoe in that way. It comes more like this from the front rather than this from the side, if that makes sense. You'll see in the try on clip, but it's definitely not as wide a flare. Not that Amplify, not that Aura is a wide flare, but this just feels more tapered once it's on body. But they are incredibly long. The length is perfect for me with a chunky trainer on. I love the length of these, but do be aware it can be quite hard to make them sit quite right over your shoe, and the fabric doesn't necessarily sit as nicely as Aura does, just because with it being seamless and it being a bit stiffer, you do get like wrinkles where it starts to flare, so the fabric doesn't look as put together, I guess, as the Aura flare does. But these are a good option, and if you like the higher compression Amplify, I think you will really like these, especially in this colour, because this colour fits quite highly compressive. It's compressive in the leg, compressive in the glutes, but in a nice lifting way, compressive in the waist, like the waistband feels sturdy, it's not flimsy. Pilling wise, I don't think you're going to have many pilling problems with these. They just feel so much sturdier and thicker. Squat proofness wise, I'll pop it in here. This performs so much better than some recent Amplifies. Like you'll see when I go over contour in a minute, the black garnet shorts, these perform so much better in a squat test than those ones do. So you can really see the thickness on these. I don't know if they meant to do this or if it's just this colour, but these feel so much thicker than recent Amplify, and I really do like this fabric. Probably wouldn't buy these just because I prefer a straight leg pant on me now, and for a lounge pant, because I would never train in a flare. For a lounge pant, I want more cut and sew, more brushed fabric, not seamless. But if you want a seamless flare, I have no notes on these. They're honestly really fucking good. I don't have excess fabric in the hip. If you want high compression, they're high compression in the waist. I'm just realising as I edited these, I thought I'd covered sizing, but clearly I didn't. So just to clarify, I'm wearing a size small. Sizing advice for these: if you like compression, stick true to size. I would not size down in these, and if you are someone who is dubious about high compression, you might want to size up. I would say if you are between sizes for these, size up. In my experience, these run a lot tighter. Even the red that weren't as thick as this blue when I shot in them, they were still very tight in the waist. And yeah, rise wise, obviously I've gone over that in the video, but these are higher than the Revive in my opinion. Even though they measure the same as the shorts, these sit higher for some reason. So these are a true cover your belly button high rise fit. Not too low, they're not like ultra high rise, they're just a nice high rise. The scrunch sits nicely. Yeah, if you want a seamless flare, go for it. I just think these can look a little strange to me, to my eye. They can look a little strange around like the calf region, and they're very long. If you're short, these are going to be way too long. If you've got a short leg inseam, way too long. They're a 34-inch inseam and you've only got that option. I don't know why, but I can't go on that rant again because this video is already long as it is. I cannot do 2 inseam rants, but we need options, please. Okay, final new Amplify piece. This is a new top. We have the Amplify push tank. So it's a spaghetti cami top basically, seamless fabric, 2 adjustable straps. They are like fully adjustable, and I will pop in on the screen like some measurements so you guys know what the strap is when it's full length, but you can adjust them to make them shorter, make them tighter, and they are gold, so it's very nice, like little hardware touch. You also have like a good amount of bounce and stretch to them, and then in the front you have basically like built-in shapewear. So can you see how this sort of looks like a, honestly it looks like the top of like a Skims bodysuit. So you have this like rib detailing under bust, and then like a compression here, which is quite similar to the compression that's under the glute on the Revive legging. And then if you flip it inside out, you do have a built-in shelf bra, which also has that contouring on, so it's like lift on lift, because you've got the lift on the inner bra and then the lift on the top itself, so it's like double the lift. Now the space for the shelf bra on both a small and a medium is only 5 inches, so there's not a ton of room in there. If you are naturally very blessed, your boobs might not fit in these, so just be aware of that. There is also no padding and no space for you to put your own padding in, and because like the shelf liner is single layered, you can't cut this to put your own padding in. You could slip it in like against the skin, but you couldn't cut this to put your own padding in because that shelf liner is single line, so you can't cut this to put padding in. Sort of a crop length, so it hits me just above belly button with like most bottoms, Aura,
Tenacity, almost sort of meet and greet sort of height. With Amplify, it's definitely going to cover the top of the waistband. It's just above belly button height on me, but obviously it will depend on how tall you are, etc, etc. I do find that with movement it does bunch up a little bit, so it ends up being more like probably 2 inches above my belly button. You do also have like a natural sort of like tapered waist sort of fit to it, so it's got the same detailing kind of that the glass tank has on the side. So you have this ribbed paneling to sort of add some shape to it to make it like tighter at the waist. And then in terms of the back, you have a scoop low back, so it scoops lower in the back. It's no higher or lower at the bottom. At the back it's the same length all the way around, and then you've just got the ALPHALETE sticker logo. Honestly, like, just to nitpick a little, I wish that this just had no branding on it. I don't think it needs it. It's a nice piece. It would have been nice to just have no branding on this. Shapewear comes up right around the side of the bust, so you're getting the lift all the way around. Fabric, it's the exact same fabric as Amplify Blend always is. I got this in purple, white and black. The black is completely fine, no sheerness issues whatsoever. Purple, completely fine, no sheerness issues whatsoever. The white, there is a notable difference between the bra and the rest of the top, where obviously where you've got the bra and the top over it, it's double lined, but then the rest of it's single lined, and it is noticeable, and it honestly, it does look a little bit weird. So I would maybe avoid the white if that's going to bother you, and go for any of the other colours, they'll be fine. Obviously with then being no padding, you can see it when you get cold, so do be aware of that. It's very low cut and also very side booby. Like, I'll show you in the try on clips, this is an incredibly side booby top, to a point where I was like, it makes me feel like I look more top heavy than I am, which is probably because of like the lifting that it's doing, but I feel like it makes my boobs look even bigger. So if you're flatter, this honestly might do wonders for you. But if you already have boobs or you have bigger boobs, do be aware the side boob is probably going to be quite out. It'll depend how your boobs are shaped, but mine sit out to the side a little more, so I'm more prone to side boobs. So I do have quite a lot of side boob in this, to the point where I almost feel like it makes me look like I'm wearing something that doesn't fit. That brings me on to sizing. So I got this in a small and a medium, and I'll show you them side by side, but for me personally, I prefer a medium in this. The small, it just feels so side booby. The medium is still side booby, but nowhere near as bad as a size small, and I just feel like I don't get as much riding up when I'm walking around in the medium. It doesn't budge around as much, and I would definitely say this is a piece where if you have bigger boobs, I would size up in it. I wouldn't stay true to size unless you are happy to have like side boob and titty all hanging out. I would recommend that you size up in this. I much prefer a medium, and as you can see, the medium doesn't gape on the waist, it doesn't look loose. It's not as tight as the small, but it still looks really good and it stays in place a lot better on me. Like with arm movement, it doesn't move around as much as a size small does, so I actually prefer a size medium in this. If you are smaller in the chest, I would recommend you stay true to size. I wouldn't size down in this for anyone, honestly, because it is quite tight under bust, unless you are insanely narrow and you want something that's just and you size down in everything. Maybe you would, but in general, stay true to size, and if you are bigger busted, I would definitely try a size up in this. Support, this is low support. There is no support in this, even though it has that built-in shelf bra. It's not supportive. If you wanted to wear this like for anything high impact and you have boobs, you would need to wear a bra underneath it, and with it being so strappy and open, you're going to struggle to find something that's going to look good under it. So I would say for those who have boobs, this is probably more of like a lifting piece or a lifestyle piece, honestly, because I do find that even in a medium, I still get the side boob. I am going to wear this more day to day than I will in the gym. Smaller chests, you can probably wear it for whatever you want, but if you have bigger boobs, I would say this is definitely more of a lifestyle piece. And I am also somewhat slightly biased. I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but when it comes to like camis and tanks for like lounging, I prefer a brushed fabric to a seamless one. Much like for lounging, I prefer a brushed fabric to a seamless one. I just feel like it looks more elevated, it looks nicer, it feels more luxurious, it feels more expensive, it feels more put together. So I would love to see this, but in like a cut and sew version, like a Tenacity version. Can you imagine this in Tenacity fabric? I think this would have been so much nicer in a Tenacity fabric or even an Aura fabric. It would have been amazing. Another thing just to be aware of with these is because they are that like soft seamless fabric, I would not recommend that you wear a chained bag over your shoulder with these, anything that's going to brush up against it that's not the same fabric. Don't do it because it will pill the fabric, so be careful what bags you use over shoulder when you're wearing these. Okay, moving on to, this is going to be quicker guys because contour is back. Contour is back. We have the contour bra, contour short, contour legging and more glass tanks. Now I didn't pick up the legging because it's pointless. I don't like them. I don't F with them. I never wear them. I don't use them. They're not my personal cup of tea. I don't like the waffle print. I can't. Down with the waffle. I was almost hoping that when they brought the contour back, they'd have got rid of the waffle, but they didn't. Anyway, contour bra. I'm going to go over this Godspeed because I've reviewed this like 3 or 4 times now. These are super popular, so I would definitely recommend picking these up when they drop because I don't know when they're going to come back again, and these are definitely one of people's most favourite ALPHALETE bras. So it's a super minimal seamless bra, same fabric as all the other pieces I've gone over. Super minimal, so you've got a scoop neck front, you have this sort of like detailing under bust to give like a little bit of a lift. It does come with padding. You can take the padding out. You've then got this ribbed band across the bottom of the bust, and then at the back you've got a keyhole racer back, so it's got a racer back but then a keyhole cut out, and then ALPHALETE in a sticker logo. I don't love the sticker logos, but I will say none of my contours have peeled off. They're all pretty much in immaculate condition and I do use these quite a lot. So yeah, the side boob coverage on these is honestly pretty good. I find that these fit really nicely. There are no changes to how the contour bra was before. I've measured it, it's the exact same. I would still recommend that you size down in these. You can stay true to size, but most people with a smaller chest size down, and I did find, even though a size small fits me nice, the sides start gaping eventually. After a few wears, I did find that it stretched out a bit on the side boob region and just didn't fit how I wanted it to. So I would recommend that you size down in the contour bra, unless the only exception being you have huge boobs, in which case it's not the most friendly bra for you anyway, I'm not gonna lie. But if you want to try it, I would recommend that those of you stay true to size, or you have really wide lats or a very wide built back, because the bottom band is quite snug. For those people I would say to stay true to size, but for everyone else size down. For girls with smaller chests, this is one of the favourite seamless bras. All the athletes and affiliates with smaller chests love this bra. They say it gives them a nice lift, and if you have implants or a moderate chest, I think you will really like this. But if you are naturally very blessed, skip on it. It's not gonna cover enough. You're gonna be like spilling out. I actually do a review on contour with people of 3 different sizes, I believe we did, so you can go and check that out. I will leave it linked below. So I have done that review so that you guys can go and check that out, and we did have someone who was very naturally blessed, so you can see what that looks like on a naturally bigger chest. Low support, there is no support in this bra, weightlifting only. That is the only thing that you would want to use this bra for. All lifestyle, it's very, 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 very comfortable. No trap discomfort. It has a nice amount of stretch. It's double layered. The white one, any light colour, you will see the padding through it. So I would recommend that you take the padding out, but the steel one is completely fine. And then the only thing to add, I guess, would be just like I said with the push tanks, it's a very soft fabric. It's very silky, very smooth, very like fluffy feeling. So if you wear a bag, it will pill, and I've pilled all my contour bras from wearing my gym bag over my shoulder. So be aware it's a delicate fabric. Don't put other fabrics against it that are not similar. Comfortable, minimal, seamless bra. If that's what you're in the market for, you will love it. I wouldn't pay full price for it, but I would pay sale price for it, and I do wear these quite a lot because they're just comfortable and easy to throw on. So yeah, the contour bra is back. So next up we have the glass tank. I have this in Poise, which is this beautiful colour. So this is the ice tank basically tweaked. What they did was they shortened the straps so the straps aren't so long. They brought in the chest isn't so wide. Overall, just made this the tank that it should have been from the start basically, because now this pretty much works for everyone. The ice tank worked for me with a peekaboo top, but it doesn't work for everyone, and it didn't work for the vast majority of people, whereas this is much more like universal as a tank. So just in terms of the detail, you still have a kind of square neckline, but it's a little bit more scooped and it's not quite as wide. It's quite low, but not to the point where your boobs are going to be out or anything like that, but it is single layered and it can be sheer. So I would recommend that you wear a bra underneath this. I wouldn't recommend going braless, you will be nipping. Yeah, on the side you have very similar contouring to the ice tank. It's slightly different, but honestly it's barely noticeable, so it just gives it like a sort of cinched natural shape. And then at the back it's just a racer tank, ALPHALETE in a sticker logo down the back. Again, I wish they'd get rid of this and just leave it plain. It doesn't need it, it's fine. Or like put a little wolf at like the base of the neck. It doesn't need the ALPHALETE down the strap. In terms of length, high hip, it's not a long top. If you're shorter, it'll probably be more like a true full length top on you. But on me and on most people, it's going to be a high hip, and that's what it's marketed at, as it's not marketed as like a full length top. No built-in bra, no double lining anywhere. And with the glass tank, they did also make this wider. So you will find that as opposed to the ice tank, it was so skinny. Pretty much no bra would sit underneath it without being detectable. You will be able to get away with a good amount of racer bras underneath this because it's a typical racer sort of back. I personally would recommend the Aura strappy bra underneath this because even though it crosses over at the back, I just think this looks the best with the Aura strappy bra. That's what I've tried it on with, so you guys can see it. And it's still really flattering from the back, and it also still gives you like a little bit of like a nice little tiny baby peekaboo moment. So that's the bra I like to wear this with. If you want something that's not going to show, the Gemini bra will be amazing under this. Sweat proof, no, these items do show sweat, but the seamless does dry a little bit quicker. And in terms of fabric, again, same notes as contour bra and push tank, super soft, like silky seamless fabric, so it is prone to pilling, so do be aware with different fabrics, bags, anything like that, it will pill if it comes into contact with it. So I would recommend trying to be a little bit more mindful with all your seamless pieces. Yeah, I love the ice tank, I love the glass tank. Generally just for like user friendliness, and it's going to work for most people, I would recommend this over the ice tank. I love the ice tank, but this is probably going to be a better option for the vast majority of people. You can stay true to size, don't absolutely like have to size down, but I do like to size down in this just to give me even more of like a effect, and you can size down in it. So stay true to size. If you want to be super snatched, you can size down, but you don't need to. A size small is not loose like the baby tee sometimes is. It's just not as snatching as an extra small is. So you can stay true to size or you can size down. Hell, if you want like a looser seamless top option, you could even try sizing up one sizes, two sizes to try and get like a baggier cami out of it. That could be an option as well. Finally, my children are back. It's been a long fight, but we got there in the end, guys. I did not think they were going to bring contour back. You do not understand how many times I brought up bringing contour back, and the last time I brought it up was in summer. In summer last year, I brought it up and I said, please, can we bring contour back? And they said it didn't sell well, blah, 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 blah. I just think they bought too much of it. It was a bit of a slow burn. I didn't love contour shorts at first. And then I realised, oh, like, these give me what I need in a short. And these are my favourite activewear short. And I'm so glad that they are back. If you love the leggings, those are back as well. I just didn't pick them up because I don't fuck with the waffle at all. Not one bit. Guys, I am so fucking excited that the concept. You don't understand. I'm just so happy that these are back, and I did pick them up in every colour. So that just shows I won't really do that with anything, but I literally made room in my order to get all 4 contour short colours because I was like, there's no way I need all of these. Again, if you want in-depth on the contour shorts, go back and check out my original review because not a right lot has changed. They're pretty much the exact same, bar like one thing that I've noticed. They are the exact same, but just to run you through the details really quickly, you have got the standard 3-tier waistband, super tight, super compressive, super thick. So do be aware of that. Contour is a highly compressive waistband, and it's also a true high rise. It's not mid rise, it's not mid to high rise, it's not ultra high rise, it's just a high rise fit, and it's always been that way across the board. So yeah, you've got the typical 3-tier waistband on all your Amplify, and if you are new to ALPHALETE and you've watched me go over the Revive, this is thicker, it's more densely packed, and it's much more compressive. It's also more tapered. And then at the front, they are pretty plain. At the side, you have the like hexagonal detailing, which looks like the stratus bra detailing, and then you do have a little contour that runs just down the side around the side of the glute and then ends here, and it's like a little like ribbed raised panel. It doesn't really do anything though, like it doesn't actually lift, it's not actually compressive, it's just like a notable texture change, and it's lifted a little from the rest of the short, but it doesn't actually do anything like the Revive that I went over earlier. Then you have a 1-inch bottom band. Normal Amplify Revive is a 0.75 inch bottom band. This is 1 inch, and it is thicker and it is tighter. You can see there's not like a ton in it, but it is tighter, and it doesn't have the same sort of flare that the Revive has. Like you can see the Revive has a natural sort of flare to the bottom seam that Contour doesn't really have so much. It's straighter and it's tighter and it's thicker. And then at the back you've got the glute scrunch space, which is very similar to previous drops. It's pretty much the exact same. There's only one difference, which I will go over in a second. Some changes, they have changed. Thank you Alchina for pointing this out. They have changed where they put the tag. So the tag is now in the center, which does leave this on the back. They started doing this with some of the drops in December, and I do have some older Amplify as well where the tag was here. So the tag is in the center at the back, so it does leave this sort of like weird stitching. I wish they just left it at the side, it was totally fine. And all the pieces do now have a black tag on them. They're not white anymore, they are black. And then the other difference is, and I will pop in some pictures here because it's going to show you easier, section where the scrunch meets the gusset, it's much like notably wider on every single contour short in this drop, which does make the scrunch space a little bit longer. I don't notice it makes too much of a difference once it's on body, but I do think it's worth noticing just in case you are someone that's very sensitive to like the length of a scrunch, or very sensitive to how that region is spaced. Scrunch isn't as tightly sewn in to the gusset, so if you do like pull it, you can find that with these contour shorts, if you pull them up, because they do have that stretch to them, with it being such like a soft stretchy fabric, you can find that the scrunch ends up sitting too high. So just be mindful to make sure that it's situated properly, because that bottom bit is a little bit longer on these, and it's consistent on all my colours. It was not like that on the previous contour drops. I've gone back, I've checked, it makes the scrunch about like ½ an inch longer in terms of the scrunch space. But yeah, other than that, that is the details, and those are some changes that I noted. So in terms of fabric on these, I'm going to do my punch through test right here right now. So this is steel. I'm just showing you guys that these are typically like, it's typical contour basically. This is black garnet. I would say black garnet. Weirdly, the dark colours seem to be like the worst other than black when it comes to contour. I swear dark colours are the worst for like how thin they feel. That one definitely feels the thinnest. Poise and typical contour, sort of like thin. And then Grove, again, it's that typical tight like. Honestly, the only one that doesn't feel quite as tight like for me is Steel. Steel does feel a little bit denser and a little bit thicker than the others, but the rest of them are very similar to how Contour was before. So think like thin, fluffy, tight like sort of feel, very soft, very delicate. I've worn my Poise shorts once, and I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see. If you can, I'm going to try and take a picture and put it in here, but I've worn my Poise shorts once, but they have pilled on the bum already, so there is no change in terms of that. I will say that my Grove does also feel a little bit thicker and a little bit less fluffy, but my black garnet feels like straight up pantyhose tights, like typical how Contour felt. Steel does feel a little stiffer and a bit thicker, and then Poise definitely thin, fluffy, tight like pantyhose sort of feel, and Grove is pretty much the same. It just doesn't feel quite as soft. Definitely put these three in the same category as being pretty standard to how Contour was before. Steel came feeling like Contour that's been washed a few times, which brings me on to my next thing, which is obviously pilling. Contour is probably the worst Amplify range for pilling in my experience. It snags so easily. It does not stand up over time, and even though I love and I will ride at dawn for my Contour shorts, okay, and how flattering these are, the durability on these is not great. However, I do have some advice. If you can avoid sitting on turf or the gym floor for the first few wears, once these have been washed a few times, that soft silicone wash that is on them comes off. They're not as soft anymore, and my sand equals sand, you know? If you know, you know. My sand, which I have worn the shit out of, I'm so surprised that I've not put like a giant hole in them or broken them yet, feels like a different short compared to my backup sand, which I never wear because that's just for in case that one breaks. That's how much I love that colour. I don't do that with any. I have never done that with any other product other than sand contour shorts. That's how much I love contour shorts. Also, how much I love sand. Justice for sand. Bring it back. Why wasn't that a part of the 10th birthday sale? ALPHALETE. Answer me that. But it feels like a different short. And my sand, when I wear it, I honestly find I can sit on the gym floor and the turf and it doesn't pill as much anymore. So these do stiffen up over time. And honestly, the magic for contour comes in when they've been washed a few times, because they stiffen up. And oh my God, if you are someone who doesn't want like the typical define, very obvious push-up effect, because I know that some people love it and I love it for the girls who love it, but if you are someone who doesn't want something that looks so obvious, contour shorts are such a good option. The bottom band does wonders for the glutes. Like a BBL short without looking like a BBL short, this does wonders for the glutes. This is the most flattering. I notice a difference. I film my workouts. I can tell the difference from when I've got contour shorts on to when I have like a standard Amplify short on. I can tell the difference. If you are looking for a subtle enhancing short, the contour short is such a good place to start, and honestly a good place to fucking finish. It's a good product. The only issue I have is the durability and the pilling. I wish that these just came feeling how they feel after a few washes. I wish they didn't have that silicone wash on them, because there is no good reason for a short that costs almost 50 Great British pounds to be pilling from you basically breathing in its vicinity. Like, I am so sorry I breathed in your vicinity, contour shorts. They pill scarily easily, so just be aware of that. I wish that they would fix that and take the silicone-y washes off them, because they don't need them. The magic is unlocked when these stiffen up. So if these could just come fresh out the bag stiffer like this one did, that would be bloody brilliant. But yes, same issues. So if you found issues with contour pilling or you didn't like contour, don't buy it, because it's the exact same as it was before. The scrunch is pretty much the same, other than it being a tiny little bit longer. That bottom space is greater. It's the same scrunch, so you still have that sort of shininess to it when the light reflects on it. You still have that. In terms of the rise on the contour shorts, it's the exact same as it was before. I'll pop the measurements in so that you guys can see, but the rise is the exact same as it was before. It's not changed, and contour does have quite a lot of stretch to it, so you can sort of pull it up or pull it down as high. Not as low as you want, but you can end up pulling it up higher than it's meant to sit, but it sits at about belly button height. It's just a normal high rise. And sizing wise, whatever size you got in contour before, go for it again, because these fit the exact same. There really is no difference, other than there being slight differences between colours. Some colours feel slightly tighter. And something to note is some of these, I'll pop a picture in here so that you guys can see better. Some of these came in with thicker, denser waistbands, and some of them came in with thinner ones. So if you ever get a contour short or an Amplify short and it feels not as compressive in the waist but it looks the same, check the density of the waistband, because the thinner waistbands aren't as compressive. They're not as like gut-wrenching. The thicker ones, the denser ones are. So for me, even though like measurement wise, and I will pop the measurements in here so that you guys can see, they all came in within spec. They range from 9.5 to 10.5, and a size small should be 10 inches in measurements for seamless. For contour anyway, I know that it should be 10 inches. But I would say these three definitely fit the tightest, and then black garnet, not quite as tight, but that's literally just because my waistband has come in thinner and flimsier. I shot in black garnet in London and it felt tight, like that was definitely a denser waistband. This is more just a pointer. If you can ever not work out why something feels tighter when it comes to Amplify, check the waistband. So a thicker waistband is going to give you more compression, thinner, not quite as compressive. It's not loose, it's just not the same. So for sizing for contour, go with the same size you've always gone with. You don't need to change your sizing. And if you've not bought contour before, if you are narrow in the waist or you like high compression, just go true to size and you will get high compression in your contour. Do not size down in it. The waistband is very tight. The thing is with Amplify and ALPHALETE, their waistbands are very well constructed, almost a little too well constructed in the sense that they don't lose their retention like the Define waistbands do. Those bag out over time and they don't snap back in. Amplify doesn't do that. It won't stretch over time by much. As soon as you wash it, it goes back to normal. It doesn't bag out through your workout, so it almost retains its shape a little too well if you don't like high compression. So you don't need to size down in these. Stay true to size, and if you are between sizes, I would recommend personally that you size up. For me personally, I got all smalls because I am cutting at the moment, so I'm expecting to lose a little bit more weight. But in general, for like my current measurements, I can do small or medium. Small for the days where I'm feeling like I want to be snatched, and medium for the days where I'm feeling like I want like a moderate normal level of compression. So I can do both for reference for my current measurements. In terms of rolling, these do roll. They roll immediately. There is no way of keeping these unrolled. I've had comments recently saying that like how much I roll my shorts and all that sort of stuff. I don't. When it's a shorter inseam, when it's bikers, yeah, but when it's a shorter inseam, I don't manually roll my shorts. That's just how they look as soon as I start walking. And one, can't be asked to fix it. Two, it just gives a little bit of an extra lift and the glutes are like, eh. Squat proofness, poise. If you have tattoos, I would skip on it. You can see the label even when I have the thong on. So if you get poise, be aware you need to take the tag out. Like when I'm holding this up to the window, the waistband looks like a different colour to the leg. Like it is sheer. It's not as bad as Citrus Frost where I could literally see my bum freckle. Like shit was unwearable for real. It's not as bad as that, but it is definitely on the sheer side. So you will need to take this tag out because as you can see in the squat test, you can see the tag. And if you've got tattoos, forget it. You're going to be able to see them through it. So I would pass on this. Black garnet is probably the second worst colour. Again, it's just like a much thinner fabric in what I've received. It's literally like straight up tights. Doesn't perform well in a squat test at all. So I would say that's probably the second worst in terms of sheerness. And Steel and Grove are completely fine for me in my experience with nude underwear on. I would wear both of them. Grove, you might want to be a little bit wary with tattoos, but Steel, I honestly think you'll be completely fine with it. Would I recommend the contour shorts? Hell yeah. I would recommend the contour shorts, especially at a sale price, just with that durability, with the pilling, which is so fucking annoying. I just wish that we could move past that and sort it out, you know? That aside, when these are on sale, they are worth every penny. It's my most complimented short, it's my most asked about short, it's probably the seamless short I've had the most positive feedback on from you guys as well, and I'm not making that up. Like, I have never seen so many people in my DMs saying how much they love these, how flattering they find them, but the main negative thing is the pilling, so do be aware of that. After a few washes, like I said, they stiffen up and they're much better from a durability point of view. But yeah, the contour shorts are back. It's probably one of my top picks for this drop. The strappy bra. I need to think what my top picks actually are, but these and the strappy bra, if I could only pick two things, probably this and the strappy bra. Like, I love these. Seamless done. We can now move on to Tenacity. So we have some new Tenacity pieces. Tenacity core shorts are coming back. I don't like them, they're too short for me. Tenacity leggings, the core ones are coming back. I love them. I just didn't want any of those colours, so I didn't pick them up. Highly recommend, stay true to size. If between sizes or particularly thick in the thigh, size up. Very highly compressive fit through the leg, so if you don't like high compression also, you might want to try a size up. Those are like a mid to high rise legging. The Allure bodysuit is also dropping in new colours. I don't like it, so I didn't pick it up. I do have my original review on that and I will leave it linked below. Yeah, Tenacity fabric I want to go over first, just so that then it's done. It's 70 nylon, 30 spandex. Now this confuses me because I swear when this first came out it was 75-25, not 70-30, and I've gone back and checked my reviews and it said 75-25 and the pieces said 75-25. So at what point did it change to 70-30? I don't know. But it's now 70-30. I don't know if it's always been that way, but I will say the fabric feels no different. It doesn't feel like it's changed, but the label has been 70-30 for the past like 3 Tenacity drops now. If you want in-depth on the fabric, I've done it. I'll link it below. I'll timestamp it. But this fabric is high compression. Aura, low compression, Tenacity, high compression. It's dense. It's thicker, still brushed but slightly less brushed than Aura. It has a little bit more of a slick performance feel to it, but it's still definitely a matte brushed fabric. But this is a much like this and Aura, polar opposite ends in terms of compression. This is thick, it's dense, it's high compression. Aura is low compression, it's thin, it's stretchy, it's super comfortable. This is definitely more of a gonna stay in place, slightly more performance fabric without taking it that next step to being like an Honor Active Unified or a Nike Pro sort of fabric. It still has the brushness, so with that being said, it can pill. It does show sweat, and I honestly don't find that it dries that quickly, so do be aware of that, but it definitely dries quicker than Aura will pill over time. Especially some of these pieces are definitely a lot more brushed than some of my other Tenacity pieces, which I'll go over when I get to the pieces that I'm talking about. But yeah, that's the Tenacity fabric, very different to Aura, but its saving grace is this does not bag out like Aura does. This stays in place better. This is a fabric where when you put it on, you're gonna think, fuck, it's too small. Give it 15-20 minutes, it molds to you. It molds to you. And I've even done it with this drop. I put a pair of the leggings on and I thought, oh my god, I should have sized up. No, you shouldn't have, because then I took them off, I put them on again the next day to wear test them, and they felt totally fine. If anything, I felt like I had a little bit more room in them. So don't panic if you do buy a Tenacity bottom. Let it mold to you. If you hate high compression, you're probably not going to love it, but let it mold to you, and I think you will be quite happy with it. I'm going to start with an item that you guys are going to be much more excited about than me, because it's not my favourite thing in the world. We have the Tenacity cross-front legging, which is based off the Surface cross-front legging, but obviously there are quite a few differences between those two, which I will go on to in a second. But these are the details. So you have a cross-front waistband here. It's not sewn together, so it can fully like pull apart. You have quite a low rise, honestly. I think this rise is like 6.5 inches from here to the midpoint of the crisscross, which is much lower than Surface, and probably the lowest front rise from an ALPHALETE bottom that I think I've ever had. So if you are short torso, you're gonna eat these up for breakfast, lunch and dinner. You then have the typical lines here for Tenacity. It curves around the side into the same side seam as Aura. It's also on the cross front Tenacity leggings, same as the everyday core legging. And then at the back, tonal wolf logo. The Tenacity branding is always the little wolf logo and it's tonal. And then you have the same back as the core legging, so you have the hidden scrunch sort of effect, and this hidden scrunch is the exact same as the one that is on the core legging. So if you guys want like an in-depth review of that and a comparison to like Paragon and all that sort of stuff, linked below with a timestamp, but I'm not going to go over it in this review. But it is a hidden scrunch, so it's not obvious on body. On body it doesn't look wrinkled, it just basically means it separates your glutes nicely without looking like a scrunch. Once it's on body it looks like a normal seam, but it just gives a bit of separation. Same as the other older Tenacity pieces where it does have this seam along the back. So that is still there, and I don't notice it when it's on, but when I'm doing try on clips and looking at pictures, I can see that it is digging into me. So again, another reason why you might want to try a size up. And then you also have like a wide extended gusset on the inside of this. It's like a wide oval extended gusset, no front seam, and the inseam, I will pop it on the screen. So I'm going to pop in a clip here and show you side by side these compared to the Surface. So these have a lower rise. These also have a thinner cross front, so it's not as thick as Surface was. So they sit lower, and the dip also sits lower. So if you found that Surface was too tall for you or it hit you at an awkward spot, this might be better because it's lower. Surface, the side seam was sort of flipped. So that one went forwards, this one went backwards. The Tenacity one is much more flattering in my opinion. And then at the back, overall, Surface is a much higher rise than these ones are. So these ones are lower rise, these ones have a hidden scrunch. Surface had just a normal back seam. The hidden scrunch on these is also much shorter than the Surface back seam was as well, which I will pop on the screen so that you guys can see measurements wise, branding, etc, etc. But these are a really good length as well. These are a 27.5 inch inseam. These are lower rise, so if for you Surface was a bit too tall or it hit you in an awkward spot, this might be better for you. Now, in terms of that like waistband and staying in place, it doesn't stay in place for me at all. It rolls pretty much immediately. They had me do a leg press in the shoot in these leggings, which was so funny to me because it's like a running joke how much I don't like a cross front on me. So to be putting them for a shoot, I was like, this is certainly a choice. But I was doing a leg press, and as soon as my legs came down, the waistband just pinged. It just pinged down and my whole stomach was out, and honestly, not my finest hour. It felt very unflattering, not very comfortable. And for my torso, I just think these hit me at a point where they are more likely to ping. If you're shorter, you might be fine, but on me, this waistband does not stay in place at all. It stays up, like I don't have to keep pulling them up, but the cross front literally just flips over so easily with me on these. I did have that issue with Surface, but not as much as I do with these. I also find with Tenacity being a thicker fabric, the cross front is also thicker, so it's overall just like a thicker experience. Like the cross front feels thicker. These are also much higher compression compared to Surface. Like in the Surface clip I'm wearing an extra small, these are a size small and they honestly feel tighter than Surface did. Brings me on to sizing. So sizing wise, when I shot in these, I actually wore a medium and these are a size small. I can do either. I don't think it makes a ton of difference. So I would say sizing wise, if in doubt, take a size up because they are very tight. But if you want that high compression and you are particularly narrow in the waist, you can stay true to size. But if you are between sizes, as with any Tenacity bottom, it's high compression and it's thick, so just size up. Particularly if you are thicker in the thighs as well, I would recommend that you size up in these because they really remind me of how the core legging fit, which I can also do a medium in, but I do just stick to a small. But if you had to size up in core, size up in these. And if you need like specific sizing help, please just message me on Instagram because it's much easier to give you guys one-to-one advice on sizing with stuff like this. Your measurements, what sizes you wear, but also your preference, because that comes into it a lot. And I can't disclaim for every single possible ratio and preference. So please message me on Instagram. If you're stuck with sizing, I'll always reply to anyone and everyone. Let me know if you've got any questions on sizing and I will happily help you out. But that would be my general sizing advice. In terms of glute flatteringness, these are really flattering on the glutes in my opinion. I think they are just as flattering as Surface, if not more. In terms of camel toe, I do get a camel toe in these and I find that because I'm trying to pull these up so much, it makes it even worse. So I do get a camel toe in these, but I am on the taller side and I am also trying to pull them up. Another thing to be aware of a hidden scrunch is it can make everything just feel a bit tighter down there, if you know what I'm saying. So do be prepared for a bit more of a snugger feel around the crotch region, around like the region. It can make things feel a little tighter, a little snugger, so just be aware of that. Squat proofness, I've got these in cashmere and these are totally fine. Like Tenacity is a dense fabric. If you are wanting something that's going to be pretty much 100% squat proof, Tenacity would probably be the best fabric for it. It's such a dense fabric, it's the best by a mile. Purple Rain might be a bit sheer, but other than that, this is definitely the best. And in terms of rise, these are definitely like a low to mid rise. These are not a high rise, and if you have a shorter torso, you are going to eat these up. But if you are taller, I would say these will be too low for you. They are lower than core in the front, so if that was too low, these will definitely be too low. And with it being that dense fabric, you really can't hike it up as much. They don't bag out through the day. They like mold to you and then like sit like that. So they stretch out a little, but they don't bag out like Aura does. Sweatproof, like I've already gone over with the fabric, no, Tenacity does show sweat and it can take a little while to dry, but not as long as Aura. But yeah, cross front legging. If you are shorter in the torso and you are wanting a cross front legging, I think you're going to really love these. For me personally, I can't do a cross front legging. I know that everyone says cross front accentuates your waist, but for some reason on me, it makes me look wider. And I've always felt that way with a cross front, which is why I've never liked it, because I feel like I'm quite narrow in that region anyway, so I've never understood why it makes me look wider, but I just feel like it does. So I don't love cross front on me. I don't like having my belly button out. For me, this is a pass, but if you want a cross front legging, which I know a lot of you do, it's a good option. It feels high quality, there's no quality issues with it. I would just be aware of the rise. If you're on the taller side, probably going to be too low for you, and it does ping over on the waistband, which is quite annoying. Losing light, so I'm really trying to move faster here. So another bottom which is brand new is the dip back legging. So details wise on these, you have got a straight across waistband, the rise very similar to the core legging. This one is like ½ an inch higher. Branding on this one, you've got the Tonal Wolf logo on the right hand side of the waistband. Waistband same as the core in terms of it has a little dip in the front here. No front seam. The side seam is straight on these like the Tenacity flares was, which I don't love, because I don't think it's that flattering on the glutes. I don't think it adds shape or does like, I don't know, I just don't think it's as flattering on the glutes when it's straight down the side, so I don't love that. And I will also put the inseam on the screen for you guys so that you guys know the length of these. And then at the back, it's a very subtle dip, like very subtle, and then you have a much longer scrunch. This is longer than the crossover I've just shown you. It's longer than the core. Again, I'll pop the measurement on screen, and it's almost to the point where, yes, it has the puckering of a hidden scrunch, but it's quite long to be doing a hidden scrunch. So it doesn't really do the same effect as a normal hidden scrunch. It just looks like a normal seam, and it's quite long in my opinion. And then you have this seam here where it just joins at the back, and it's a very like subtle curve. It's not like a sharp V, it kind of just curves like that. I do wish that this wasn't here, because it's almost off center. Like, can you guys see how this is central and then this is slightly to the right? I wish that this wasn't here, because I just don't love this, or that it was lined up properly. I also don't really love how these are straight seam down the leg. It's not as flattering on the glutes. Now, in terms of rise for these, I would say these are like a mid to high rise. They're slightly higher than core, and they are double layered in the waistband, again, just like core was. And again, even though it's a dip back seam, it still has that Tenacity seam round the back that the Tenacity pieces have in terms of the bottoms, which you can notice digging in, but I don't notice it too much in the try-on clips for me. In terms of when I put these on, I was trying these on for twinkle toes, and my sister came in the room and she was like, why, you look like you've got a child's legging on. Like, they looked tiny, they looked short, they looked, I couldn't get them to sit right. And I was like, fuck, I should have got a medium. However, I then wore them again the next day to go and do an incline walk in, and they fit me perfectly. These mold really, 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 really nicely. I would say these stretched out more than normal Tenacity. After the first wear, these definitely molded. Now, when I wash them, they will go back to normal, but if I'd have done a medium in these, I honestly feel like they would have then just bagged out on me and been too big. So I'm very happy with these in a size small. I don't find them as tight as the Cross Fun. I feel like, I don't know if it's just this colour, but it feels not as compressive as cashmere. It feels like it molded a lot more and it's not as tight, and my size small is fine in these. Compression through the leg, I would say, is still like a high compression through the leg. The waist is like a medium compression, especially with that dip back. It just sort of takes the pressure off the waist. When you squat down, the dip back on me, it'll depend on your torso length. I've got quite a long torso. It doesn't have my thong showing, it doesn't have my underwear showing. It's literally completely fine. There is nothing out at the back for me. When I was doing my incline walk, I didn't find that they were falling down. I didn't find that I was having to pull them back up. The only thing I do know is when I bend over, the waistband does roll slightly, so the waistband does definitely roll over. It hits me at a point where it rolls over, so if that's going to annoy you, that's something to be aware of. But the back is completely fine. My thong isn't out, nothing is out. It stays in place quite well, and it's not too aggressive. It's very subtle. It's almost so subtle to the point where it doesn't really look like too much of a dip back legging. It almost just looks like you've not pulled your leggings up properly from the back. I find it okay on the glutes. I don't think it's the most flattering thing on the glutes in the world. It's definitely the most comfortable Tenacity legging. I don't know if it's just the colour, but it's definitely the most comfortable Tenacity legging for me. It just seemed to stretch out a lot, and I don't find it as tight in the sort of like down there region, which is probably because it has that longer seam at the back. I don't find it as snug down there, but in general, to me, this just looks like an unfinished legging. It looks like, I don't like the fact it has a straight seam down the side. I wish it was curved. It doesn't feel like it's finished yet. I feel like it still needed a few more tweaks. I feel like the dip back could have been done better. I don't like the straight seam on the side. I don't love the seam on the back of the waistband. I just feel like it doesn't feel quite finished, in my opinion. So for me personally, I wouldn't spend money on these, and I would personally pass on these. I think there are just better leggings in this drop, in this collection, to be spending your money on.
Just wanted to do an everyday core versus dip back legging comparison, so you can see it's a much longer seam at the back, and they're also obviously dipped at the back. They're slightly higher at the front, and I feel like you can tell here they're not quite as tight on the waist as the original core legging is. So yeah, and then obviously you've got the straight seam on the dip back, which I'm not a huge fan of. I wish it had the curve. And I forgot to mention, but in terms of camel toe, yes, I do get camel toe in these, just as bad as Aura and the cross front, both the same. So yeah.
I was losing natural light and I felt like the quality of this video was just going very downhill, so I've switched angles because my ring light needs a plug. So we're now ring lighted up. I've been filming since 11. It may or may not be 4 p.m. But just to continue and summarise on the dip back leggings, sizing wise, I would honestly say to stay true to size. When you put these on, you are going to think, fuck, I should have sized up. But move around in them, take them off, try them on again, and I bet you will feel so much better in them. I can't speak for other colours, but the Ride colour is the only one that I have. And honestly, putting it on for a second time felt like putting a different legging on. So just be aware of that when it comes to sizing. Honestly, when I first put it on, I thought, fuck, I should have got like a medium or a large. But then I realised it moulded, it stretched out a lot, and it did feel a lot better. So yeah, but personally, it's not something I'd be rushing to pick up. I think they can do much better than this. I don't think it's the best product in the drop. I wouldn't even probably put it in the top 10. I would skip on it. Next item that I have to show you from the Tenacity range is one of my favourite items in this drop. I would honestly probably say top 3 overall, if not top 3 from new products, 100%. Probably like my top 1 from new products, if I'm going to be honest. It's the core bra. This bra, oh my god guys, it's so good, and I'm so glad I picked it up in 3 colours. Like, I wasn't going to, but I am so glad I did. So I'm gonna run you through the details. I'll use the dress blue colour because I feel like the brown is just blending into my hair. So you have a bottom band which is much thicker. Like, a lot of ALPHALETE bras recently honestly haven't had a bottom band. It has then like a very good side boob coverage, honestly. Like, the side boob coverage on this bra is really good. I don't find that it's too like wide cut at the side, and then it has a scoop neckline. It's definitely a minimal bra. That's what I mean when I say there really isn't a bra in this drop for anyone looking for like a high support, high coverage option. They're all very small, to be honest, but it's a scoop neck front and then super plain, comes with padding, and then at the back it's super open, and the straps on this one are fully adjustable. With the Aura strappy, you have this sort of buffer here where you can't adjust it past this point, but the strap is still there. This one can be adjusted right the way to the...
I'm just adding this in here because I didn't mention it, but I did write it down. I don't know why I didn't mention it, I forgot. I think in the midst of the size of the review I just forgot, but when I trained in the core bra I did notice the adjusters. They do feel more feely on my back. Like, when I was doing hip thrusts, for example, I can feel it digging in a lot more against the bench. So if you do a lot of things like that, a lot of bench press, I think you will notice it more with the core bra compared to the Aura strappy. Like, if you flick back and look at the Aura strappy compared to this, it's not as thick when it's like pulled all the way down. So if you're going to need to wear it on the longest setting, just something to be mindful of.
Bottom, so it's a fully adjustable bra. Pop like the length of the straps on the screen because I can't remember off the top of my head, but I will pop those on the screen, and like I said, measurements and everything linked below in a Google Drive if you want them in one easy spot with pictures. It's all linked below. So these are fully adjustable, and the straps on these are plenty long enough. They are a little bit longer than the ones that are on the Aura strappy bra. So yeah, the straps are plenty long enough, and then it's just super open and a little tiny tonal wolf logo at the side on the back here. You also have darts for shaping. So the darts here, I'm gonna be honest, I keep saying the darts are for shaping. That's just what I've been told, but I don't find that when I don't have darts on a bra there isn't any shaping. And I do find with all the Tenacity bras, if you leave the padding in, you're fine. But if you take the padding out, because the dart is also on the inside, because then you don't have the padding separating the two, they can sort of end up misaligned, so it looks like you've got like 2 diagonal lines on the bottom of your boob, which doesn't look great. So these almost do look better if you leave the padding in, because otherwise it's very hard to get the darts to align properly on the front layer and the back layer. So I would rather these just didn't have the darts in, because I don't find a difference in terms of how it molds to my boob or anything like that. One thing that I really have to sing the praises of on this bra, and there's a lot, is the seams are so well like bonded. On most bras like this bit here would be like a mound. The crop shop bras, it's literally like a mound, and as someone who loves to layer in the gym, I love putting a tight top over a bra, it just creates these bulks of fabric underneath what I'm wearing, which looks so fucking shit. Don't have that problem with this. It lies so nice and flat, and whilst it does have this thicker bottom band, it's not bulky, it's not too thick, it's honestly perfect. Now, if you look at this bra, you might think, that reminds me of something, and it does. As soon as I put it on, I was like, this is like the Tri bra, but better, because the back of this is better. It has more adjustability to it, it's more flattering, it's more open. The front of this is pretty much one-to-one, the exact same as a Tri bra. I'll pop in a side-by-side here so that you guys can see. This is pretty much identical to how the Tri bra fit. So in terms of coverage, if you were happy with that, the updated Tri bra, you are gonna love this bra. If you love that bra, you will love this bra. I don't know if it was meant to be a nod to the Tri bra, but that was one of my favourite bras that ALPHALETE did. This bra is so fucking good. It's so flattering from the back. A bit more coverage and a bit more support with that bottom band than the Aura Strappy, for example, while still being like a minimal bra. You get a little bit more coverage, a little bit more support, but it's still minimal, it's still dainty, it's still cute. So if you are slightly larger busted, this would be a better option, honestly, than the Aura Strappy, but this is still not super big boob friendly at all because it's still quite a minimal bra. Support wise, low support. Even though it's Tenacity fabric, which is denser, it's tighter woven, this is a low support bra. Weightlifting and like, I would run in these, but I run in the Aura Strappy, so fucking ignore me, quite frankly. This is like low to maybe tiny bit of medium support. It's a low to medium support bra. In terms of the strap comfort, the straps are fully adjustable, so I don't find that these are too tight at all. I don't get any discomfort with this bra. I got a size small. I would say to stay true to size. If you are between sizes, and particularly if you're smaller in the chest, you're probably going to want to size down, just because I can see how with this fabric and the bottom band, especially if you're narrower under bust, I can see how this could end up being loose if you are between sizes and you go with that size up. So if you are between sizes, I would probably recommend that you go down, especially those of you with smaller chests and narrower under busts. But everyone else, stay true to size because it's very true to size. A size small fits me bang on. Side boob coverage is good. I feel fully locked in. It doesn't move. The bottom band keeps things in place. This is, honestly, from a practicality point of view, this is better than the Aura Strappy bra. Like, this is making its way into my top 2, top 3 bras that ALPHALETE have ever done. It's a really good product. The fabric is incredible. The fit is incredible. It's super minimal whilst being incredibly well done. And I just love it when ALPHALETE get a product right. And this bra, for me, is so right. And if you are slightly bigger chested, I think you're going to be, or like close to me in terms of cup size, you're going to be happy with this bra, especially if you like the Tri bra, which I know so many of you did. It's just so cute because as well, what we have to remember is not everyone with like slightly more boobs wants a huge bra. You know, this is that happy medium for those people, and I'm honestly really happy with this bra. I love it. The only thing that I do want to mention is just from a fabric point of view, I do find that the purple rain colour, so brushed, it honestly almost feels like Aura. Like, I feel like I can see how brushed this is, which isn't normal with Tenacity. It feels almost more like Aura, which I know it's not, but just be aware if you're picking up any of the Tenacity pieces in the purple rain colour, it's a lot more brushed in my experience than the others, which are more like typical Tenacity. It just feels more brushed and it probably will be more pill prone, but yeah, I absolutely love this bra. I would definitely put it in a top picks, and it's definitely going to be worth the money as well. Like, the quality on this is really nice, and thank you for making actually like nicely bonded seams, because I cannot fucking stand it when I put a bra on and there's just this bulk here sticking out. Like, Crop Shop Boutique, what are you doing with your seams? I don't like, it's just like this knob of fabric. Like, get away, go away. Finally, how long have we been filming for, guys? I started at 11 AM and we are now on 4:56. I've got a shit ton of footage to edit. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I know this has been a long video. I know that there's been a lot to show you guys. It's probably quite fucking overwhelming, and I am so sorry for the length of this video. I do not like posting videos, honestly, that are over 2 hours. I made a pact to myself last year to try and keep them under 2 hours when it comes to my reviews, but there is so much stuff. If you think about it, if for a review of items half this launch, we're looking at 2 hours, it makes sense. The only way around this was going to be if I scrimped and saved on details, which I don't want to, because I honestly just don't think it's fair to you guys. Like, there might be a piece where I think, oh, I can just skip over this because I've already watched all my other reviews, or I can just skip over this because they don't need to know XYZ details. But imagine that's the only product you're interested in and you want to know everything about that product. That's how my brain works when it comes to these reviews, because that's how I shop. I want to know everything that I can possibly know before I buy something. So genuinely thank you so much for sticking through such a long review. Please don't be overwhelmed by how many pieces are in this drop. I'm going to pop my top picks on the screen here so that it's clear and you have a list of the things I would most recommend from this drop. I think there is a little bit of something for everyone. It's definitely a more girly drop, but there is a little bit of something for everyone, unless you need a high impact sports bra and you have very big boobs. But for anyone else, I really do think there is a little bit of something for everyone. Also, this is not the norm. ALPHALETE are not going to be doing launches this big all the time. They put January and February together just to give themselves time to get on top of the fulfillment centres and shipping, because they don't want another Black Friday instance, which I'm honestly really happy that they did, because I don't want you guys to have a shit experience with them again when it comes to shipping. So yeah, if you guys have got any questions whatsoever, comment below, message me on Instagram. I'm going to be like a hawk on my phone until the sale, getting you guys ready. If you want a top picks video, let me know and I will film it, like of the whole site just for the sale. If you want the seamless bottoms like guide video, let me know and I will try my best to film it and get it up. Everything will be linked below. Code Amy will get you an extra 10% off all the sale prices throughout the sale period. It also helps to support me, to let ALPHALETE know you like these reviews, you want them to keep coming. So if you like the reviews and you want them to keep coming, please, please, please do use my code. And if you do use it, let me know, message me on Instagram, comment below, comment on my vlogs, let me know so that I can thank you. And don't forget to enter my giveaway, which the details of which will be down below. I genuinely mean it when I say you guys have afforded me this big box of stuff. You've afforded me being able, like, how lucky am I that I get to sit and yap about activewear for 6 hours and I get to call that work. Like, my brother asked me to explain earlier what I do for work and I was like, so I like measure activewear and then I like tell people the differences and I do all this stuff. And he was like, huh? It's a very weird job, but it's a very lucky job and it's something that I love doing. And yeah, I hope that you guys have enjoyed the review. I hope you found it helpful. Hopefully I've covered everything. If I haven't, I'm going to be very disappointed in myself. But yeah, short form content will be in the Google Drive. I'll be doing loads on Instagram as well. So yeah, if you do end up shopping in the sale, happy shopping. But if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to and you haven't already. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys. Gonna go get a hot cup of tea because my throat's on fire.